Oh, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. You had better wake them up, get them going. Might have been woken up overnight by the thunderstorms rolling through, hail and high winds and lightning like crazy. Thunder, of course, comes with lightning, but that storm's going to move on out of here early this morning, and that should be a beautiful Thursday morning in Austin, Texas. So get them up and get them going. It's Thursday. That means it's a Buck Off Thursday on B&E. Every single week, you get to decide who has earned a pat on the back, who has earned a kick in the hindquarters. It's your right, and you can hit us on the Specs text line with those Buck Offs at 337-3776. Also all over our social media, wherever you find us on Twitter and Instagram, everywhere. Hit us with a Buck Off. We will certainly deliver it for you as we launch a Thursday morning. It's a busy one for sure. Down go the Milwaukee Bucks. How about the Miami Heat last night? We'll dive into a quadruple header of NBA playoff action last night. We've got baseball. Astros finishing off quite the road trip. Might have jump-started their early season with another win last night. Rangers frustrating in Cincinnati. We've also got football, of course. The NFL draft is about 13 hours away. Carolina will be on the clock, and we'll begin to get some clarity in this ultra-muddy and uncertain first round of the 2023 NFL player draft. Looking forward to that as well, and we'll preview as we go, and we'll get you into your Thursday. Buck-ons and Buck-offs. Early bird always gets the worm. We appreciate you being there. Whether you're on 104.9, could be 101.9 FM, AM 1260, and of course, always digitally. Take us wherever you go on that Horn app. Just download it to your smartphone. It's absolutely free. Always on your smart speaker at home and work, and always Mr. Godbolt streaming for you live and local right there on our website with the Twitch channel. You can watch the shows, of course, at hornfm.com.
Good morning to the soldiers at Fort Hood, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do. It is appreciated, and we do appreciate it each and every day, and be safe out there. And last night was quite the lightning show out at my place.
I was looking at some pictures on like KXAN, the website there, the news. They've got pictures of people with like golf ball or bigger size hail out in your neck of the woods, out in Dripping Springs, Pound Town, getting pounded.
Yeah, the rain was coming down pretty hard. I didn't get any hail. I just got lightning and
you
lots
would have heard
of
that.
thunder,
You have a metal roof, right?
No, it's just a high roof. I believe me, and it's.
You would have heard it though.
I would have heard it up top there. Yeah, I was trying to sleep through that. I went to bed early and thinking, you know what? I think I can make it through this. Not so fast. That lightning lit up my entire house.
Yeah, it was a big-time storm. Big-time storm rolling through. There's another chance
Hope
of another
everybody's safe.
Another one of those bad boys rolling through here tomorrow night, Friday night, not tonight. Looking good all day today, but another round of severe weather could be coming through right around dinner time Friday night, it looks like at this point. But should be all clear today. Could have a residual shower or two this morning on your commute, but then by noon it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, the numbers started to warm up a little
up to
bit.
about 78 degrees. Should be a nice
yesterday
day.
Yesterday was humid.
Well, man, yesterday was like a Houston area Gulf Coast sauna. It was so muggy, and you could almost feel the storm coming. You know what I mean? That's typically
my hibiscus looked fantastic because they were all lit up different colors during the day.
It was rolling through. You could kind of feel that thing moving through and coming, and it did overnight. So we'll get you rolling on a Thursday. Glad you're with us. It's going to be a lot to get into. A lot of conversations to be had, and of course your Buck-ons and Buck-offs, who has earned those, including Steve Sarkisian. He was down at the Touchdown Club of Houston yesterday, speaking to the donors and the Longhorn fans in the great city of Houston. We'll get some thoughts, including what he had to say about Arch Manning and the Longhorns' opportunity here in 20 and 23. We'll get into some Texas football, the NFL draft. How are you feeling on draft day itself? And, you know, I did watch some highlights of my movie, Draft Day. I didn't have to go watch the whole film. I could go to, like, the YouTubes and just watch the highlights of Kevin Costner in Draft Day. Is he going to go with the quarterback? Is he going to go with the defensive end out of Ohio State? Love that film.
Well, all I can say is congratulations to all these young men and their opportunities. I mean, this is what they've been looking forward to for a long, long time, whether you're drafted in the first round or you're a free agent pick to go and play at any team. I mean, this is a long-time dream for probably 95% to close to 100% of kids that play the game of football. This is where they all think they're going to be. This is and these guys will at least will be given a chance.
Well, certainly tonight, because those are your first 31 picks.
Absolutely.
And, you know, as you said, to be
for the next 72 hours, it'll be fantastic.
For one of the few invited to even be a part of a team, right? To give a chance as a free agent is a rare accomplishment in that sport, and to be picked in the first 31 picks, which, you know, we talk about the top 5 and top 10, it kind of minimizes just how incredible it is.
And how hard it is.
How difficult that is to be one of the first 30 picks of any draft. of all the football players in all the country that play from Pop Warner on up to hear your name called, early tonight or at any point tonight is quite the honor. But Carolina on the clock. Houston, still a lot of speculation about where they're going. Let's dive into your headlines to start your Thursday morning. We'll take your opinions, your team, and your pick where they're going tonight in round one. Some teams, including the Texans, have 2 picks in round one. Detroit, Seattle, Philadelphia, all with a couple of picks tonight. Miami Dolphins do not have a pick tonight. They, of course, forfeited that for tampering. So a lot to get into. Let's start with your headlines, though. Trending topics, including the stunner in Suds City last night. UBO Business Services brings it to you. Yeah, stunner. First round of the NBA playoffs. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat have staged a second straight fourth-quarter rally and then took out the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks in overtime. They were down 15 entering the fourth quarter last night, rallied all the way back, and after his 56-point performance in Game 4, Butler came back with 42 more last night, including an incredible bucket late that sent the game into overtime. His Heat become the first play-in team to win a playoff series ever and the 5th, 8th seed overall to knock off the top overall seed in NBA history.
We were resilient. We were down late. It seemed to be that way a lot during this series. We stayed with it, got some stops, made some huge buckets, and stayed together. That's it. Come on, boy.
Stayed together. What a performance there. Miami will now face the New York Knicks, who advanced to the second round as well last night. They took out Cleveland in 5 games, won it last night 106-95. In the West, Memphis avoided elimination and forced their series with the Lakers back to L.A. with a 116-99 win in Game 5. And a thriller late last night, saw Golden State Warriors go into Sacramento, take down the Kings 123-116. Steph Curry scored 31. Draymond Green off the bench added 21. That's his highest scoring output in 5 years in the win. They take a 3-2 lead in that series, headed back to Golden State. Now, one other note in the NBA, Rockets officially introduced their new head coach down in Houston. Ime Udoka is taking over there, the former Boston Celtics coach. Major League Baseball last night, speaking of Houston, Astros finished off an ultra-impressive road trip with a 1-0 win in Tampa. Hunter Brown and 2 relievers combined on a 2-hit gem. Houston takes the rubber game of that series. They wrap up trips to Atlanta and Tampa with a 5-1 record. Those teams are combined 36-5 against anyone but Houston this season. Rangers wrapped up a frustrating 3-game set in Cincinnati with a 3rd straight late loss. Reds third baseman Nick Senzel hit a walk-off 2-run homer in the 9th inning for a 5-3 win. Del Diamond last night, Round Rock rolled Albuquerque 8-2. First round of the NFL draft is set for tonight in Kansas City is where it will take place. Carolina Panthers are on the clock with the top overall selection. They are expected to take Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. Houston has the 2nd pick. Anybody's guess what they're planning to do. Speculation all over the place. One thing is certain tonight, one of the most ignominious droughts in the history of Texas football will come to an end. Former Longhorn running back Bijan Robinson will be drafted in the first round. All prognostications could say he could go anywhere from the 8th pick all the way down to the Cowboys at 26. When his name is called tonight, he'll be the first Longhorn drafted in the first round since 2016 and the first Texas offensive player picked in the first round since the Tennessee Titans took Vince Young with the 3rd pick all the way back in 2006. That is the longest such drought in school history. I said, say, Bucky, when you make, you should make hibiscus tea out of your flowers when they fall off. Good stuff.
Really? Never thought of that.
This says the guys up here in Waco, we were dealing with grapefruit-sized hail. Yeah, I saw some of those reports last night. Grapefruit-sized hail. That's some serious. You can do some serious damage with big old orange and grapefruit-sized pieces of ice falling from the sky. I hope everybody made it through. Yeah, it was one of those storms that spanned the area, coming from west to east and bringing a pretty good sock last night. So buck on if you made it through that safely. Also, buck on to the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler. This is shades of Michael Jordan kind of stuff last night, what he was doing, carrying his team. I mean, the bucket at the end of that regulation where they have under a second and he gets this tip in. It was terrible defense by Milwaukee, by the way, but a tip in, it was one of those where you went to bed early. It was like an out-of-bounds pass from the side, Buck, and Butler was under the basket.
There was not much time left in the clock, right?
I mean, it's a catch and shoot. You don't have time to land and go back up.
Was that 0.5 last night?
Well, it was like right at 1 second, and so he had about right at a second to get it off.
Wow.
So he caught it and on his way to the ground, put it up off the into the basket. Clock, they go to overtime. Now they're going to OT, and in OT they win it. And buck off to the Milwaukee Bucks in the down 2 in overtime. They don't even get a shot off in a final opportunity. I mean, their season, most wins of anybody in the league in the regular season, the 1 seed
didn't get it off.
Didn't even get a shot off It was a terrible offensive set. Mike Budenholzer, their head coach, didn't call a timeout. And obviously they're going to be talking about that all off season. That how did we not even get a bucket? I mean, get a shot off. We got Giannis. We got good offensive players. And Grayson Allen kind of ran through the lane and really didn't realize what the clock was. And the clock just, without it getting a shot off, it hits triple zeros, and the Bucs season is over. The Heat will advance to play the Knicks. And who knows, man? As long as Jimmy Butler's playing like that, look out.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of energy.
They have the Knicks in the next round?
Yep. This weekend. They'll start Sunday. In New York, because, of course, the Heat are going to be the lower seed against anybody they play as the 8th seed in the first ever play-in team, right? They had to play in through that play-in tournament, which is a new addition.
Get to the next round?
Yeah, just to make the playoffs, they had to play their way in, and then they become the 5th, 8th seed to knock off a 1, and the Heats are moving forward. Great win for Golden State last night. They went on the road and beat Sacramento, and we said they're going to have to win a road game at some point. Golden State's been a horrible road team all year, but the heart of a champion there with the Warriors.
Well, Draymond getting 21 and playing D.
Draymond gives you 21.
Yeah,
that's probably the most he's scored in 5 years, as we said. That's the heart of a champion. That's
that dude gave a clinic down below, by the way. He was special underneath the basket.
Now, Chris Bennett has said, by the way, Chris Bennett, who listens to our shows and all of our shows, we appreciate him so great. He lives out in the great Northwest, so it's, 4 o'clock there? And he's already got a text into us at 6:12 this morning, so that would be 4:12 his time. Thank you, CB. But he says, buck off to the Greek Freak for what he said in the postgame. T.Y., do we have what the Greek Freak said in the postgame? Yeah, he was very literal with a reporter. We'll play that for you coming up, but obviously a disappointing loss, but he was not willing to call it a failure of a season, and he'll explain that for you coming up.
You're either winning or you're learning.
Here it is. This says, guys, the prognosticators are wrong. Bijan will not drop all the way down to 26. I agree with that.
No.
But if you look at mock drafts and opinion, some think he could still be there for the Cowboys. I don't believe that's true. I don't think Bijan makes it out of the top 10 tonight, as we've discussed over and over again. But we will certainly dive back into that. This says, Falcons fan in Fort Worth hoping they pick Bijan. I think that's the first most likely scenario. Yes. With the 8th pick in the first round, the Atlanta Falcons certainly could gobble up.
And it's not going any further than 10.
Philadelphia at 10. That's all the buzz. It's angling that way for Cowboys fans, which is going to be a miserable situation to have one of your favorite players now playing for one of your least favorite teams if you're a Cowboys fan and a Longhorn fan. Let's hear from Giannis after the game. Disappointed, obviously. The season ends. He suffered a back injury early in that series and missed a couple of games, but was back for the final 2, in which Jimmy Butler just Herculean in the fourth quarter and in those games to get the Heat through. And here's Giannis afterwards.
But I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh, my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide a house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why are you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's going to win. And this year, somebody else is going to win.
All right.
Now, it's just simple. He asked you the question, just say no. It wasn't a failure. You don't have to say another word after that. If you answered the question that was asked, you don't have to elaborate on the answer, right?
He doesn't, but obviously he knows that media very well. And Eric, the Greek Freak, of course.
He's asking the same question.
Yeah. Look, failure is a strong word, but if you're the top overall seed with the best record in the league, and you lose in the first round, it's disappointing for sure. But it is sports. I will agree with Giannis on that. You play it on the court, you play it on the field, and Jimmy Butler and the Heat were better than the Milwaukee Bucks over 5 games, and it wasn't even a long series. They won 4 of the 5 basketball games. So obviously the regular season is what it is. The playoffs are what they are, and the Heat were ready to go, and the Bucks were not. So, failure or whatever adjective you want to put on the season, it was disappointing for the Milwaukee Bucks, and credit to the Heat for being the better team and having the best player on the floor.
I don't want to buck him off. I mean, it's just, if you answer the question, then you can go on to the next question.
I will say I didn't have a problem with his answer, though, if he did want to answer it. I mean, that's his opinion, and I do think that in sports, this
guy's just won the championship 2 years ago, right?
Yep. I don't have a problem with his answer, but I also don't have a problem with the question. And
I never had a problem with the question. I just answered the question.
He did. I mean, he went.
Well, no, he elaborated on all the stuff.
I mean,
it was a pretty simple question.
His analogy is I don't, with him talking about the reporter's job, I think it's a little bit different.
Well, he also said to him, "Listen, I don't want to make this personal." I hope everybody heard that in between all the in between stuff. He said, "I don't want to make this personal."
Well, he wasn't like calling him out or anything, but he was like, making an analogy with, you could do that with any job, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, I see where you're trying to correlate the two, but I think Giannis is trying to be way too practical, and as you said, he probably expanded too far. And he's cut from a different cloth, this Giannis. He is interesting guy and a very cerebral person, I think is a good way to put it. And here's a texter that says, my guess is Michael Jordan considers those 9 seasons a failure, and possibly, but at the same time, he's accurate when he says Michael Jordan won 6 championships, but 9 years he didn't win the championship. That Milwaukee will be back again next year. So that's how that ended last night. Take your thoughts on it, Buck-ons and Buck-offs, as we crank this thing up on a Thursday. But Buck-on is to Jimmy Butler. 98 points in the last 2 games. 98. I mean, carrying his team, just, what a performance. I mean, it's an all-timer to pull the upset, but also have that individual greatness over back-to-back games. And we said that when they stole Game 4. Remember, the Heat were up 12 points with 6 minutes to play. Excuse me, the Bucks were up 12 with 6 to play in Game 4 in Miami and could have closed that out and come back to Milwaukee in 2-2. Instead, they go down 3-1, and, you left your chin open. I mean, you left it open to if a guy goes crazy again like he did, your season's over. And that's how sports go. That's just what it is, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
The dude is on a heater right now.
He is.
For the Heat. I mean, he is on a real heater. He's hard to stop.
And that's missing their second leading scorer in Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And he's making up for all that.
I mean, Tyler Hero might have been their leading scorer, actually.
For the year.
Yeah.
Well, and obviously, again, I mean, it's playoff. Regular season doesn't matter. You just got to make the tournament. We know that in every sport. If you can get in, then it's the real season. And
this team doesn't look too different from the Miami Heat team that went to the finals. What was that, 3 years ago now?
Yeah. For sure. I mean, the East is wide open. I mean, now that the top seed's out, the Knicks, the Heat, obviously the Boston Celtics are in this conversation. They let one get away the other night. This Eastern Conference, Philadelphia, your 76ers, Buck, who've just been waiting, been resting. They're waiting on the Celtics.
They need to get their guy healthy.
That is for sure. This says, guys, Giannis is humbled. Buck on to him. All right, that's your opinion. We appreciate that. 337-3776 is how you can hit us up with those Buck-ons and Buck-offs on a Thursday every single week. We'll get into some college football as well coming up in addition to the NFL draft. Steve Sarkisian at the Touchdown Club of Houston yesterday. More clarity on this Deion Sanders situation. How about Deion, by the way, basically cutting players, Buck. Just telling them to get gone.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean,
is that a Buck-on? I mean,
it's either going to work or it's not going to work. Like I said, I'd rather be challenged than threatened, and I just felt right from the get-go, that first meeting was a threatening meeting. It wasn't a challenge. I challenged you guys, let's go, let's do this. Nothing was like, let's do this together. It was like,
they may only win 4 games this year, but if they win 4 games this year, that's going to be 3 more than they won last year. But the argument can be made that, you know what?
I'm going with the under in that, too, by the way.
Well, we'll see. Deion believes he's got guys lined up that are going to come in that are better than those guys. But if you don't even get to know the players, I mean, to your point of challenge,
yeah.
I mean, there could have been some players on this roster that you wanted to embrace and needed to embrace and could have helped you and could have, flourished within your program, within the, the coaching that's coming. But same time, Deion took the other approach and just soon start all over with 64 of the 84 scholarship players now gone and new players coming in. So we'll see what that roster looks like. It's Deion's way. We'll certainly take it. This is what Buck Off Thursday is all about. You can agree and think it's a very cold but corporate way of going about college football, which is now a big business. It always has been, but more than ever before with the transfer portal and NIL. And
yeah, I would prefer to. I mean, a lot of coaches, I would think most coaches would prefer to get to know somebody, give them some kind of opportunity, and then send them packing.
Yeah,
But if you're not meeting guys, if you're really not meeting them, I don't know. I'm not there. I mean, if this is the way it went, then I just think that's a weird way to do business, whether it's athletics or any other way.
Yeah, it's kind of corporate.
It's cold.
It's corporate raider type, right? Coming in and the hostile takeover, and then strip it and sell it for profit, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, he's trying to build it.
Well, it's up to that university if they knew that's what was going down. I mean,
it's like he's blaming all those players for going 1-11. It wasn't all each player wasn't their fault. I mean, they had poor coach. There's a reason their coaching changes made. I mean, it's at the same time.
I mean, their starting running back took left, but that dude rushed for 300 some yards. That was his total for the year.
Sure, they won one game. They weren't a good football team.
They just weren't a good game. No.
But for a head coach to come in, it's just so unique to college football and athletics. It's against the spirit of what we talk about. I mean, for Deion not even to meet some guys over the course, he's been there for 5 months, 6 months. You can meet the team, you can meet the players. I get that position coaches are the ones that deal with the players on a day-by-day basis, but
like I said, I'd rather challenge people than to threaten them. It just seemed like more of a threat, but that's his way.
Or more of a giving you no chance, like you have no opportunity to be on this team. We're moving on. We're starting over. We're ripping this Band-Aid, and you guys are gone. Good luck to you. And here's some film. Here's some practice film you can use. But we're going to bring in better players than you.
But as I said, they will attack him. They will attack that team, that football team. And if they do win 4 games, that's if they do. I don't think they'll win 4. But teams like USC, believe me, Lincoln Riley will not be cutting them a break when he walks out on that field against that team.
Or TCU in week 1 with Sonny Dykes.
Oh no! If he's got the ability to do it, there won't be any cutting Deion's team a break. Because he's new to, head coaching at that level. They will try to pound that group into the ground.
Says Colorado went 1-11 last year. God awful. Deion knows what he's doing. Flipping the roster he's flipping a roster that was atrocious. That's true, but you could still do it with a little more, empathy and compassion than that. But again, that's Deion doing it his way.
Right.
But it's not wrong to be. You can agree with Deion's way, or you can criticize it. Those are both fair opinions, in my opinion. But so that's where we do on a Buck Off Thursday. Speaking of the big business of college athletics, Steve Sarkisian revealed yesterday Arch Manning has no NIL deals and won't until something happens. We'll tell you what that's all about down at the Touchdown Club of Houston. Your thoughts on the NFL draft tonight? Where does Bijan go? What are the Cowboys going to do? And for your favorite team, who are they taking or should they take with their first-round draft pick tonight? It's B&E on the Horn.
It's Bucky and Erin.
A lot of opinions coming in on this Deion Sanders story. We'll get you more clarity on that. Also, watch the entire 18-minute introductory press conference of Aaron Rodgers as the new quarterback of the New York Jets. But he came off pretty well. Looks like he's ready to go. Excited to be with the New York Football Jets. And did indicate that he only wants to focus on this year, but certainly if things go well, he plans to be there for a while. So we'll hear from Aaron Rodgers coming up. Also talking about the stunning upset in the NBA last night. Heat passed the Bucks. Warriors, the big win on the road in Sacramento last night. Grizzlies and Lakers are going back to L.A. And the Knicks, True Hill from Sal in New York this morning on our Blitz.
The Knickerbockers.
The Knicks are into the second round. It's been a bit for them, right? Well,
certainly has.
But this is a Jalen Brunson-fueled team. Maverick fans having to watch Jalen Brunson into the second round. How's that feel for you there, T.Y.?
We got Kyrie maybe for next year. I don't know. It doesn't feel very good. But I like I said in the past few days, I haven't been watching as much of the NBA playoffs just because it's hard for me not having my Mavericks and Luka there and to be fully committed.
I would say quick buck on before we get back to the Deion conversation. But can you get buck on to the Astros? They won again last night, beat the Rays. Rays had hit 50 home runs, and they held them to 0 home runs in 3 games, and they shut them out last night. Here's the buck on, though. Hunter Brown combined with 2 relievers on a 2-hitter. This guy is the replacement, essentially, for Justin Verlander in that rotation. The Astros, why have they been good? Obviously, they have core great players, but every year they have a rookie that comes in and, since 2017, they've either had the Rookie of the Year or a player who finished in the top 3 in voting for the Rookie of the Year every year. And Hunter Brown is going to be that guy this year, and he pitched an absolute gem against the best lineup in baseball last night. Impressive, just dominant stuff. Which was, again, against that lineup who's just been slugging, especially at home, just bombing everybody to shut them down like that. And Luis Garcia did it the night before. It's fun to watch. So Astros get their early season going. Rangers just got punched in the nose over and over again in Cincinnati. That was tough. They could have swept that series, and they ended up getting swept because they couldn't pitch in the 8th and 9th innings of that series in Cincinnati. So they'll be happy to get the heck out of there. So we'll take your buck-ons and buck-offs. Now, here's the thing on the Deion Sanders story, Buck. So theathletic.com, David Ubben has a great story on this, and it tells the story of, because we know 64 of the 84 scholarship players are now gone. Mm-hmm. But it's the callous way and maybe even the classless way, according to some texters, that Deion is doing it. Here's the story of Travis Gray. Travis Gray's an offensive lineman. He's 6'8", 320. His father played at Colorado back in the 90s. It's always been his dream to play for the Buffaloes. So he was, spring game's over. They play in the snow on Saturday. He's at Olive Garden on Sunday afternoon having dinner or eating some late, early lunch, early dinner, late lunch, whatever. And he knows he's got an exit meeting with Coach Deion Sanders the next day at 3 o'clock. That's already been scheduled. His phone buzzes. It's his offensive line coach, Bill O'Boyle, and alerting him that, hey, your meeting's been moved up to today, and it's in 30 minutes. So head to the facility. O'Boyle was waiting in the lobby of the team facility when the youngster showed up. And as they're walking in, he tells The Athletic, Travis Gray tells The Athletic that his offensive line coach says, hey, buddy, you're going to get cut today. I'm sorry to tell you this. I didn't want you to hear it from Coach Prime. I wanted you to hear it from my mouth. I didn't want to cut you, but we had to cut 5 offensive linemen, and you were the last one.
No, I want to hear it from the head coach.
How can people – you can't cut people in college, though.
He's doing it. I mean,
he's sorry. What if he was like, no, I don't want to give up my scholarship and I want to stay here? Would he just make his life hell?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, probably. I would say, yeah, they'll make it hell. They'll make it that you'll be standing on that sideline, you'll be doing drills, and you'll never get in the game. You'll be warming up, and you may not even warm up. You may not even suit up.
Travis Gray said, I was like, oh, God. He told me he said, you're 6'8", you're 320 pounds. I know in my heart of hearts, school is going to pick you up in the portal when you enter, make your weaknesses your strengths, and keep progressing. I hope you have a great future. It just won't be here at the University of Colorado. Again, father played there. He won on the national championship team back in 1990.
Yeah, and I always talk about those kind of connections you have if your father went to a school or this is why you come to this school. You're taking that opportunity, you're taking that chance, and you're hoping somebody can help make you better. But obviously, I mean, when you don't get to talk to the head coach, that's the guy I want to talk to. If you're getting ready to send me packing, that's the guy you want to get in touch with. Your position coach meeting you in the hallway is not a way to exit, some place that your father went to or that you spent your time at. That's that's not a good deal. So you hardcores can say what you want to about that's doing business. I agree with it, but no, that's not the way you do business. You need to be the guy to face the players and the young men, and these guys are coming to you. I mean, you're supposed to be a positive figure, but that's not a positive way to send somebody packing.
No. Well, and as the offensive line coaches, in my reading of that, Dion was going to tell him. I mean, Coach Prime was going to tell him that you're getting cut, but the offensive line coach, wanted to tell him himself. And that's just one example. I mean, according to The Athletic, most of the 23 Colorado players who entered the portal on Monday or Tuesday were told to do so. We're told to get in that portal and get on out, including a safety named Jeremy Mack Jr., who was working with the first-team defense for much of the spring. He said, Coach Prime just told me up front, we have plans to go another way. You competed. You did everything we wanted you to do this spring. You fought. And that was my first meeting with Coach Prime since I've been here. And he was essentially, bring your playbook. So it's
pretty much you did a good job, but not
get
so much.
Get gone.
But somebody's probably hurt, and they'll be well by the time we get ready in the fall.
So is he planning on? So how many roster spots do you think are available right
Dude,
now?
as I said, is this going to go on during the season? I mean, you didn't play well today. Guess what? You need to pack your
bags.
You need
backups.
I
need
know.
Depth and
they've got a way. I mean, he's got a way of doing this. That university chose him to be their head coach. That's on them. That's not on.
He's also never done this at this level before. So
correct.
Is there not? There has to be some concern that this could end terribly.
But once again, that's the university. That's the guy who hired him. His problem. That's not our problem.
But it's not wrong to criticize Dion.
Well,
I'm not doing it this way. I mean,
I am criticizing him. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying you can't just say, well, it's just the school's fault. Well, the school has chosen this coach, but this coach is doing it unlike any other coach. I mean, you say it all the time. When you were recruiting players, you said, would you, if you didn't have a scholarship, would you let your parents pay their own money to come here? And if they say yes, well, that's the school I want to play. Well, these kids aren't even getting a chance to argue for
themselves. That's absolutely right.
But if it was any other coach, this would be frowned upon.
For sure.
Big time.
That's exactly right. No other coach could get away with this. Cutting players? I mean, yes, they won one game last year. And yes, it's more corporate than it's ever been. And NIL and the portal are a thing. But this has never been in the spirit of college athletics or college sports where you just cut people. Yes, we went 1-11, but it's like you don't even get a chance to earn a spot and to prove it and get, in the spring. I mean, it's almost like with Dion, how quickly this is happening. He didn't give any of these. He said,
I mean, it's just true. Like I said before, it's truly simple to me. I want you to come and challenge me. Don't threaten me. These are threat. This is more than a threat. This is elimination.
Well, don't you think that these conversations should have happened before the spring to give the players an opportunity to get into the portal?
I would think.
Like this
has been happening through the spring. These guys have been up these guys' rear ends all during spring about you're going to be gone. You're not good. They've been already telling these kids. I mean, they're not good enough.
That's not my read of that because a lot of these kids were stunned. They thought they were going to have their exit meeting, work on this, work on that, like it's usual. And a lot of those kids left going, really?
They didn't have a chance.
Right.
But they just fillers?
I know.
Like for the spring?
Well, and that's Dion's. We played the sound yesterday. We probably still have it, where Dion was asked in the postgame right after the spring game about the roster, and he basically looked at him and said, this isn't the team we're going to Texas with. This isn't most of these. We're going to change it out. But again, that's a very cold and callous way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not illegal. There's nothing against the rules for doing what he's doing, I don't think. But boy, there's a human element to this that doesn't seem to be taken into account. Yes, they won one game last year, but you say challenge them. And you got a 6'8", 320-pound lineman. Work with the guy, coach the guy, develop a player. Now you don't have to develop all of them, but to simply say 90% of your roster's not good enough, get out of here. That's
not challenging to me. That's threatening to me. That's more of threatening that you're going. But it's not threatening. He's making those, not only those, he's carrying out those threats of you're not good enough.
I think. Look, we always come back to Texas. Steve Sarkisian. There's a bunch of guys here when he got here that he would like to get going. Right. There's a lot of guys.
There's a lot of coaches that like to do that.
Yeah,
you can.
But in this town or here, he would have been criticized up and down. If Steve Sarkisian came in and would just cut in half the roster or more than half the roster, but you weather the 5-7 season, you kind of weed it out and discover. But guess what? Sark probably found some guys that he thought he maybe wouldn't like that he liked, and they are part of this thing now.
Absolutely, that's making a guy a competitor. Let him go and change your mind.
I mean,
letting him change your mind on how he's going.
It. Yeah, it's just year one. You got a 5-year contract, but obviously he wants the quick fix, and you got guys. And well, the other part of this is now he's whether you can prove it or not, he's recruiting players who are under scholarship with other teams. We told you about the kid at Houston yesterday, Alton McCaskill, the leading rusher, or going to be the engine of the Houston Cougars offense. Dana Holgerson had his exit meeting with the player. Everything was good, and the next thing you know, he's in the portal. You don't think somebody from Colorado got in his DMs and was offering? I can't prove that, but if you have an exit meeting with the coach and the coach says, "Man, we had a great meeting. Everything's good going into the summer. He's going to be our feature running back next year." Next thing you know, he's in the portal, and all signs point to him going to Colorado. Something's up, and if Deion's cutting 2/3 of his roster,
oh no, he's got to find players.
Yeah, he's now got to go get guys, which means you're recruiting. And you're doing that,
No, you got to get players. They won't be able to fill the team.
He's going to get in trouble for like tampering.
Sure.
There's no way that they didn't contact that Houston running back before he was in the portal, being like, "Hey, if you get in the portal, we got a starting spot for you."
Well, and there's ways to do that and plausible deniability under, behind the scenes.
Not that other teams aren't doing that. But.
Sure, but at the same time. Here's Deion. This is the sound we played yesterday, but the Bears playing again based on this conversation. This was Deion on Saturday, right after the spring game, when we all saw it. They didn't look like a very good team, and here was Deion's pretty glib answer.
The team that we're playing with now is not the team that we're going to play with in Texas the first game. Do I need to say any more? It's not going to be that.
So, and then he goes about...
And it's not going to be the same players.
Well, then he goes about telling 20 or 25 players to go ahead and get out and cut them. I mean, essentially cut them. And you were a part of college athletics a long time, Buck. There was never the idea to cut a player who was on scholarship. I know they're
Well, I mean, like I said, when I went back yesterday and said back in the old days, you find ways to get a player gone. But that stuff stopped a long, long time ago. It really did.
Mean, we know it's a more business-like corporate structure and the NILs and portal. But again, I think of the young guy whose dad played there, and that's all where he wanted to play, and he wasn't even really given an opportunity to play there because they want to go out and bring in their own people. It's world's not fair, life's not fair. I get that, but
what if school was number one for you, and you were on a football scholarship there, but you really you're not going to the NFL and you're trying to get your degree.
Sure.
Or you have a girlfriend, or
do
you just lose your scholarship, or can you stay there and
you can stay? You're not pay for your own. It seems like, but that's kind of the point. There's a human element to it. This kid wanted to get a Colorado degree. Who knows how far he is into that degree plan? Now he's having to transfer when he didn't really want to transfer. That's a new deal, right?
Dude. I just don't have the sense of. I have the sense of you wanting, because of who you are, you're hoping great players will come with you. But are the rest of your coaches, I mean, did that offensive line coach work really, really hard to make that kid better?
Yeah.
Or did that kid, the writing was already on the wall? You were gone. You were just one of the guys who were going to be gone. We've seen enough film of you from your 1-11 year. We're going to replace you. I mean, how hard am I going to work as a coach to make you better when I know a number of you, through my head coach, are going to be out of here? He's already made evaluations on you from whatever. I just don't. I don't feel that. I know. We know a couple guys. We know a guy on his staff that's a fantastic football coach. But
Tim Brewster.
Yeah, I mean, how hard would you work, E, if it's already been determined that 5 guys right there? Are you going to work? Are you really working hard to make him better? You didn't walk into the head coach and say, "No, coach, this guy is not going. He has gotten so much better this spring." But that's like I said, they hired a guy. He's going to do it his way. I mean, I don't like the way. I mean, I just don't think that's how you deal with people. I don't think that's how you deal with people in any walk of life. And plus, I want to see the boss.
Yeah.
I don't want the position coach to say I mean, I know you're on your way, but
he met with Deion on the way out, but the coach told him ahead of time, essentially, that just know what's coming.
Deion signed an autograph for him on the way out.
Exactly. Coach Prime. We will come back and take your thoughts.
It's not going to work the first year. That's going to backfire. He's
not doing it for just the first year, obviously.
I know, but
I think it's short-sighted anyhow. I think I just don't think you do people that way. I mean, the youngsters can make decisions like that where, man, I'm going to jump in the portal because I got yelled at practice today. There are players on that roster who wanted to go to Colorado and wanted to graduate from Colorado and were given a scholarship to play at Colorado.
They were hoping that you made them better.
Yes. They were hoping hiring Coach Prime was going to be the best thing ever. And now all of a sudden they're told, no, get out. Go find a new place. We don't want you here. That's brand new, y'all. That's brand new to college athletics, and maybe it's just the way it's the way it's going. I hope not. But
no, this stuff's going to backfire. It's not. this is not going to go in a positive direction.
Well, it'll be a story regardless. All right, we'll talk about it with you. We'll talk about Steve Sarkisian. Speaking of NIL deals, he says Arch Manning, his freshman quarterback, doesn't have any and won't have any until he becomes a starting quarterback. Which details on that coming up. Also, more B&E facts of the day. The great Heat comeback last night and stunning series win. But first, it's Craig Way.
It's Bucky and Erin.
NFL Draft tonight. Our coverage goes live at 6 o'clock right here on the Horn. It'll be provided by the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, so you'll get all the coverage, all the picks, with Roger Goodell at the podium in Kansas City, but then the analysis will come from Cowboy experts, obviously a little Cowboy lean and how it affects them and what the Cowboys do at pick 26. That'll be live here on the Horn. Of course, the Horn personalities, yours truly included, will be fanned out all over Central Texas at the local area Pluckers locations. I will be at the Oak Hill location at the Y. Great spot. Looking forward to it tonight with the guest general managers on the clock. Specials when we get picks right. It's always a very fun and collaborative night and meet a lot of cool people. Ty will be at the research location, and you can find a full list of where we will be and who will be where. I know Hard's at the Link location, Rod's on South Lamar. So we're everywhere tonight at the Pluckers locations having our annual draft watch fun. I missed it last year because I was at the draft in Vegas, Ty, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
I'm so excited. I got Pluckers last night, too.
Ooh, double dipping.
I'm going back-to-back.
Double dipping.
The back-to-back cheesesteaks.
What's the weather like in Kansas City?
I'll look that up.
I got to believe it's cool, relatively cool.
I will check, but here's a text, Buck, on this Deion Sanders conversation that says if...
And those scholarships are one-year scholarships. They're not four-year scholarships. You get a scholarship, no, it's not guaranteed for 4 years.
They're one-year rollover scholarships.
They roll over.
And that's in every sport, by the way.
Yes.
It says if you're not good enough at your job in the real world, you get fired. Well, look, these are not jobs. I know people like to blur the line. I've argued for a name, image, and likeness forever, but these are not employees of these universities. They do not work for the school. The school does not pay them. They now have the ability to make some money on the side if they can use their name, image, and likeness to do so, but it doesn't come through the school.
All the tough guys again.
Yeah. This isn't a job. And all I would say is if you're one of these youngsters' parents, would you be happy with Deion Sanders that your kid got cut? I know life ain't fair. I mean, I've told my kids that many, many times, but there's fair, then there's a classy way to do things.
I like to have an opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
Do I get an opportunity to get better?
I'm assuming a lot of these kids were pretty excited when Deion was hired, and, oh, man, we're going to get some better coaching now. I came to Colorado because I love this school, and I want to get a degree here, but, man, this is going to be fun, and essentially to get the cold shoulder. Because if you read the whole athletic story that was written yesterday by David Ubben, I mean, he talked to a lot of former players who are moving on, all tell the same story, that the players who were already on the roster when Deion got here were treated differently than the ones that were brought in. They had the 8 Jackson State transfers, including his own son, and that they were treated completely differently. They didn't get a fair shake with it. And that's okay. I mean, if you agree with that cold way of doing it, then that's fine. It's your right to have that opinion.
Absolutely.
I just think it is I'm not a fan. I'll say that. I'm not a fan.
I don't know how high schools are. I never coached high school football, so I wouldn't know. People keep asking about high school. Do you get cut at these high schools big time?
No.
Okay. Everybody's allowed for a tryout. If you're good, if you're not, I mean, a certain age. Freshmen, they have freshman teams. They have sophomore teams, correct still?
There's an A and B. So at least at Westlake, most like 6A, 5A, 4A programs have a freshman A and B and then a JV A and B.
Because some freshmen can make it to a varsity level if they're good enough.
And that, well, yeah, it's you don't. Jaden Greathouse is the only example of that I've seen in the local area. But
how many freshmen are playing varsity football?
A lot of people only play varsity football their senior year, and I've seen personally on teams I played with, there was a kid that was the most unathletic, worst player.
But he was allowed to try out.
Oh, and he went to practice showed up to every practice, every lift, tried as hard as he could, and the coaches, I mean, gave him opportunities to play when we were up a lot, and he never quit, and
it's good for him.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think I will remember when Steve Sarkisian got here at Texas, and not that he's done everything right, but somebody asked a question about are these your guys? And Sark was like, no, I'm the coach at the University of Texas. These are my players. I may not have recruited them, but these are my players.
Correct.
I'm the coach at UT, and that's what we have. And we'll do it. Let a lot of them move on after year one, sure.
But there's still guys here that were here when he showed up.
Absolutely. And again, when Sark got here, they had been a pretty good team. They weren't great. Colorado was 1-11, and that will always be the argument. Well, they won one game. They're no good. Okay, well. Hey, look, the New York Knicks have won a playoff series for the first time in 10 years.
They're no good.
They're no good. First time in 10 years. We'll get the update on that. And the Miami Heat have surged into the second round. What a shot at the end of regulation by Jimmy Butler last night. Heat were down 16, headed into the fourth quarter, and won the ball game. Largest comeback entering a fourth quarter in a series-clinching win in NBA series history. We'll hear from Jimmy Buckets coming up. Also, Steve Sarkisian talking Texas football. The draft tonight. when your team is on the clock, who do you want them to select? Let us know ahead of it. We'll count down the hours together. About, 12 hours?
12 hours.
To Carolina being on the clock with the first pick overall, Houston to follow. It's B&E on the Horn. Buck Off Thursday on B&A. Bring them strong. 337-3776. Who needs a buck off? Who needs a buck on? You decide each and every Thursday on this program. Good conversation about Deion Sanders and his methods. In the first hour, we'll get into some Steve Sarkisian thoughts coming up. He had a visit with the Touchdown Club of Houston yesterday. Mattress Mac was there. Mattress Mac from Gallery Furniture. Played for the Longhorns back in the day. Also coming up, Daniel Jeremiah. He's the lead draft analyst for the NFL Network. He has an interesting trade proposal for the Houston Texans that I want to get your thoughts on here coming up, Buck. And let me ask you this. You like this idea? A town in New Jersey who is struggling to keep its youth baseball umpires at Little League baseball games because angry parents keep screaming them down, have instituted a new rule for this season. If you berate an umpire at any point, you have to suit up and call the game.
Oh, hell no.
You like that?
No, I like it, but no, I'll just keep my mouth shut.
If you want to rip our umpires publicly and yell at them through the screen and the gate and the fence, get ready to suit up, and we'll let you call the game.
I've had some interesting experiences as an umpire for.
Me too. I did that when I was a kid.
Coach pitch.
And this was way back in the 80s when I was a teenager. I actually Little League, because I was a ball player, I did some umpiring for like a year. I hated it.
Oh, it was
and this
not
is
fun.
Because people talk about how bad it is now. I mean, I got yelled at. I remember missing a call. I missed it. And I tried to, but they destroyed me.
They destroyed all your confidence,
I was like 16.
all your faith.
I'm like, y'all, I got almost all of them right. But, yeah, no, not.
Give me another ump. Get him out of there.
I like that rule.
Next.
All right, put on the mask. Put on the blue. Let's go. You're out. You're out here.
No, you don't have my size. Oh, no, we got it right here. Right here in the shed. There's a size for you and a size for you.
This could be like the Vultures, though, because guess what would happen if Mom's now got to suit up and go be the umpire. Now she's behind the plate, and she's getting ripped because she probably doesn't even know all the rules.
Wow, yeah. I'm going to get up there and just be quiet and just yell for little Johnny. That's all I'm going to do.
You know me. My kids, my son for sure played baseball all through high school, and every year I would sit in the stands. I'd put my headphones in. I'd listen to music. I would like watching the ball game and rooting for my kid and his friends, and that was me. I'm music, put on my playlist, take it all in. I didn't want to listen to the chatter from the moms and I hated hearing it. It's like, y'all be quiet.
My mom.
How many years I had to go through that, and how many kids with soccer?
Soccer, yeah, you had the soccer.
I feel like that's even worse.
It could be worse. You just kind of sit there because every little kid that fell down, the mom was like, "Oh my God, you almost killed him! Look at that brute!" Like, oh, that kid's just fine. That kid will bounce right back.
Yeah, my mom was a front row screamer, and I
was she
just always being up to bat and her just screaming my name.
Oh my
it didn't help.
Oh yeah,
No,
they love you. That's showing interest. It's great.
I mean, I knew pretty quick my son would have his best games when I couldn't make it to the game. So I just tried to back off. I wanted him to not even know I was there. Dude, I'm not here to put pressure on you. Just enjoy the game, have fun.
That's right.
My least favorite part about playing sports growing up was the car ride home with my dad, where I was going to get another just a good hour-long coaching
Well,
clinic.
I watched my son that went on to play some great soccer in his life, try to play baseball as an outfielder. And that dude had no interest. The glove was off of his hand half the time. And I just asked him, I said, "Do you really want to do this? Even though your friends are doing this?" And he said, "Dad, no." And I said, "Okay, then that's it. Nobody's forcing you to play, because your friends want you to play.
Did he play football?
He played football until he got really hit one time. And he changed over to soccer.
That's how football go.
He said, "Hey, there's something about this sport right here that's just not right about the way I just got hit by somebody way, way bigger."
I always felt that about baseball too. You would, because you play football until you take that one that just rings your bell.
Yeah.
You get rocked. And
I had a roommate that was a track guy that got rocked like that.
You pop back up and still like it, then you're good.
Yeah, you're all right.
I sucked at football until I got smashed one time on a kickoff, and then it pissed me off. And
you were looking for content. You're like Sam Ellinger. You needed to bang somebody.
Yeah.
I like that.
Now, my son said, "No, this is..."
Well, I got banged. No,
soccer seems like the good way to go. And I'm like, yeah. I said, you'd be all right at that.
Well, in baseball, if you could take a ground ball that took a bad hop and hit you in the chin a couple times, and you could still keep your head down and field ground balls and not be backing away, then we got something. If you are going to be afraid of the ball, I can't work with you. You got to keep your head down. Hey, let's get to the headlines, trending topics to start this Thursday morning, by the way. UBO Business Services. Yeah, we'll get to the NBA. How about the stunning upset in the first round of the playoffs last night? Jimmy Butler And the Miami Heat staging a second straight fourth-quarter rally. Of course, in Game 4 in Miami, they rallied from 12 down with 6 minutes to play. Last night, they were down 16 points entering the fourth quarter in Milwaukee and rallied to force overtime and then knock out the top seed in the Eastern Conference with the win. It was Jimmy Butler after his 56-point performance in Game 4, pouring in 42 more, including an incredible bucket late that sent the game into OT. Heat become the first play-in team ever to win a playoff series and the eighth seed ever to knock off the top overall seed in NBA history.
We were resilient. We were down late. It seemed to be that way a lot during this series. We stayed with it, got some stops, made some huge buckets, and stayed together. That's it. Come on, boy.
Yeah, they are on to play the Knicks now. Knicks advance to the second round for the first time in 10 years. They knocked out the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games, 106-95. In the West, Memphis Grizzlies avoided elimination. They forced that series with the Lakers back to L.A., 116-99. Another thriller last night out west where Golden State went into Sacramento and took down the Kings, 123-116. Steph Curry scored 31. Draymond Green, 21 points off the bench. That's the most points he scored in a game in 5 years. Defending champs take a 3-2 lead in that series. One other NBA note, Rockets down in Houston yesterday officially introduced their new head coach, Ime Udoka. Major League Baseball last night, Astros finished off an impressive road trip with a 1-0 win in Tampa Bay. Hunter Brown and 2 relievers combined on a 2-hit gem. Houston takes the rubber game of that series, wraps up their trips to Atlanta and Tampa. They went 5-1. Those teams are combined 36-5 against everybody else but Houston this year. Rangers wrapped up a frustrating set in Cincinnati. They lost on a walk-off homer from Nick Senzel in the 9th inning, 5-3. Round Rock rolled again. They beat Albuquerque 8-2. First round of the NFL Draft set for tonight in Kansas City. Carolina Panthers on the clock with the top overall pick as expected, or they're expected to take Alabama QB Bryce Young. Texans will then have the second pick. Anybody's guess what they're planning to do. One thing is certain tonight, one of the most ignominious droughts in the history of Texas football, and the program will come to an end. Former Longhorn running back Bijan Robinson will be picked in the first round tonight. Who knows where? Could be anywhere from 8 to 25. When his name is called, he will become the first Longhorn drafted in the first round since 2016. And the first Texas offensive player picked in the first round since Tennessee took Vince Young with the 3rd pick way back in 2006. It's the longest such drought in school history. So, Buck, can I give a buck on to Joe Cook over at Inside Texas? He's got a great story.
Get it, Joe.
Joe's got a great story that he wrote about how Stan Drayton recruited Bijan Robinson when he was the running backs coach here still. And by all accounts, Bijan was set to, and he had given a verbal to go play at Ohio State out of the state of Arizona. And as the story goes, Stan Drayton called him and, said, hey, I really feel like you're supposed to come play for me. Come play for me here in Texas. Go. And he said, okay, coach, let me call you back. And that one phone call brought Bijan to, obviously Bijan's a very faithful guy, a very spiritual player who believes in his faith very, very
he just
devoutly.
Didn't believe in Ohio State.
Well, and then Stan Drayton kind of hit him on that level, that he's very devout and faithful too, and turned out to be a great choice for Bijan. Now, who knows how it would have worked out at Ohio State? Might have been great too, but he's happy with his 3 years here.
I'm pretty sure it's going to work anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. But as far as loves Austin loves him, that whole bit. But this is it's an unbelievable drought. 17 years since the Longhorns had a first-round offensive player picked. Gosh, it's been long enough. It's 2016. The last time a Longhorn was drafted in the first round was 2016, and it was the last pick of the first round. It was Malcolm Brown.
Yes.
To the New England Patriots. It's been that long. That drought will end tonight, we think. Could be the 8th pick, could be the 10th pick, could be the 11th pick, 12th, who knows?
And this will go a long way in whether recruiting and players and portal and everything else. Tonight, with Sark being there with Bijan, this is a big deal.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And the whole weekend, Roshan Johnson,
absolutely,
I think, will go higher than most. Now, that won't be till Friday. And then Aubrion Overshown. A lot of people like Demo as a guy who could go off the board on Friday.
I feel like we haven't heard enough about him.
Me too. I know. Look, he's.
They're still looking for where does he fit in? What is he?
Well, every player gets a value and a grade.
Sure.
And this is where the Cowboys are, right? The Cowboys are going to be picking 26. I think they're going to take the best player on their board. Whoever's there when they get there, they're going to take them. I don't think they're worried about positional need. If they probably don't need pass rushers, but if there's a great edge rusher there, and you just take the best player, I think that's a good way to go. Last year they reached, right? They reached because they needed an offensive lineman desperately, and It worked for them with Tyler Smith. I think this year they're in a position not to do that. But look, for DeMarvion Overshown, here's what I'd say about Demo, Roschon, and Moro Ojimo. And I don't want to leave Keandre Coburn out of this, but I think those three specifically, their best football is still to come. I mean, DeMarvion Overshown came in as a safety under one coaching staff. Then he was moved to linebacker under a new coaching staff, and then finally got to play the same position for 2 years this year, and you started to see him flash as a player, right? Kind of grew into the linebacker position. In the NFL, which is going to the positionless football idea, his size, his ranginess, his speed, his ability to strike and hit, I think that's going to be, he gets on the right team, he can play in the NFL for a long time. And I think Moro Ojimo is the same way, as we talked about when Moro was in here last week. I mean, he's only 21 years old, and he got to Texas at 16. He's still learning how to play football at this point of his life. And but boy, he's got all the upside. And
you got to have an awful lot of luck.
And Roschon came in as a quarterback, moved to running back, and then was a backup. But he knows how to do everything, Buck. That guy's going to be a special teams whiz. He's going to pick up the blitz over and over again.
Yeah, he's going to do all the things that you need. I mean, he has all the physical capabilities and the mental. I've been behind somebody. I've been a quarterback. Now I'm a running back. He's got all the mental toughness that you want in a player.
He does.
And plus, he's got that goodness about him that he's going to make your locker room something special. If anybody can, if you work like that guy works, you're going to, and especially if you're a talented person and you see that kind of player around you that may not be as talented as you are, and the way he works, the sky's the limit for him.
Roschon Johnson made a visit. When we talked to Roschon when he came in the studio last week, he had just flown back from San Francisco, made a visit to the Niners. Can you imagine if they gobble him up? They have Christian McCaffrey already, but because Elijah Mitchell's their other running back in San Francisco, and he just can't stay healthy. He's hurt all the time. Roschon only made 2 official visits. He told us he went to San Francisco and to Tampa Bay. Now, San Francisco's Kyle Shanahan. He gets into that one-cut system where you get put the foot in the ground and get upfield and make running yards. I would love to see Roschon playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Cowboy fans are dreading seeing Bijan Robinson playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, but it could happen tonight.
The league is dreading seeing that.
Can we dive into the Coach's Corner? It's brought to you by our great friend Tom McKay and his crew at Audio Visual Consultations. They do all the TVs at all the Pluckers locations we'll be at tonight. They can certainly do your house. It's Tom McKay and his crew. All right, here's a trade proposal from Daniel Jeremiah, Buck. If you're watching NFL Network tonight, you'll see a ton of Daniel Jeremiah. He's their lead draft analyst. You could watch on ESPN as well. Do you have a choice? Because the Pluckers will have both of them on. I would imagine you'll be able to choose. But do you choose one NFL Network over ESPN or one or the other?
I like Jeremiah. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah. Ty, do you have a choice or preference of NFL Draft Network?
No, I didn't even realize there was a
choice.
A choice.
Yeah, there's 2.
Yeah, NFL Network and then ESPN. So here's Daniel Jeremiah's final mock draft. Final mock draft, right? You do these all month, and then they finally put out the final. And in his mock draft, Houston's been all over the place in as far as speculation goes, what they're going to do. He has them taking C.J. Stroud with the second pick, despite all the bluster that they don't want him. Then trading back up with the Arizona Cardinals, and then taking Will Anderson with the third pick. Now, I'd be doing cartwheels outside the Pluckers if they did this, because here's the thing with Houston, and when I was on the Pro Football Focus as that NFL mock draft simulator thing where you can do your own drafts, many times when I've been playing with that, I do just that, because Houston has so much draft capital that so essentially what Jeremiah would predict would happen is Houston would take C.J. Stroud, the quarterback, with the second pick, and then they would send, because Arizona is begging to get out of the third pick. They need picks. They need players.
Right.
And they need multiple picks. So Jeremiah's argument is Arizona's begging to get out. Houston can't decide between, because they love Will Anderson, right, and Tyree Wilson, the defensive players, and D'Amico Ryans wants a defensive lineman to build around on his defensive front. And so Jeremiah says they send the third pick to Arizona. They give up the 12th pick, which is their own first-round pick. So you're really just swapping 12 to 3. You give up 33, which is the second pick of the second round. And you give up 73, and then a third-round pick next year. So you give up 4 picks. Essentially, you're only giving up 3 picks because you're swapping first-round picks with the Cardinals to get up to 3. And you give up 3 other picks, 2 this year and 1 next. Houston would still have 8 picks remaining, including a third-round pick 65. They'd have their couple fourth-round picks, so it wouldn't be like they would be trading their whole draft to do this. Would you like that if Houston got the quarterback and a pass rusher, picks 2 and 3, and all they do is give up the 1 second-round pick, essentially, as far as real?
I think that's a good way to go.
I'd love that. Because the luxury Houston has is, I mean, the big pick you would give up there is 33, but you've added your quarterback of the future and your best defensive player of the future, you hope.
Yeah,
right?
you'd like to get both.
Yeah, and you get those at 2 and 3. And then look what the Jets did last year. They took Sauce Gardner, and they took Garrett Wilson. You know, I mean
that works.
That worked, right? Both won Rookies of the Year, offense and defense. Pretty good. Houston would be trying to swing for a play like that. The idea would be by the time you get all the way to 12.
And then when it's not exotic, you just get the best player you can get. If you're sitting right there, to me, if you end up getting Will Anderson,
but you also need the quarterback, and by the time 12 comes around, you may not get the quarterback. Right? I mean, it'll be interesting because, again, everybody is reporting that Arizona wants to get out of 3. They want to go down. But we'll see.
They're still knowing they don't have to mess with quarterback.
It'll be interesting.
Because they can be a piece of crap again next year and then being on.
I do think that Jeremiah has this right. Houston has a lot of opportunity in this draft because they have so much capital. They have more picks than anybody. And if you can come out with 2 cornerstone players, which is what the Jets did a year ago.
Offense and defense.
And I think last year Houston came away with couple of cornerstone guys anyhow, right? I think the
sure
pick
did.
Now Derek Stingley, that pick will always be questioned because Derek Stingley went 1 pick ahead of Sauce Gardner. Their corners. You know, Sauce Gardner won Rookie of the Year and was an All-Pro.
Okay, you got 1 and 1A. I'm good with that.
Yeah, but Stingley's got to be that. He's got to be that guy.
He was good last year.
He was good.
He was.
He was just no one ever saw him because he was on the Texans.
And they shut him down late when they were trying to lose games,
right.
And then they couldn't lose the one game that they needed to lose. Remember that?
they shut him down.
They didn't play in December, and they still couldn't close the deal. Stingley's really good. They also drafted, I think, another real keeper in Jalen Petrie at safety out of Baylor, and then Kenyon Green at guard. You get 2 more cornerstone players.
Oh, yeah.
You know, now you're starting to move in the right direction. I'd love that if they did that.
And you'd like for that to be a defensive guy, big guy down low.
Well, if it's pass rush quarterback,
yeah,
and you're now you're starting to feel pretty good because again, what are the premium positions in football? You need a quarterback. You need to be able to rush the passer. Houston already has a franchise left tackle in Laramie Tunsil, who's the highest paid tackle in the league. Derek Stingley emerges as a great cover corner. You know, Will Anderson brings the pass rush and edge pressure, which you have to have in this league. And then last year they drafted the kid Damian Pierce, the running back from Florida, who can be their primary ball carrier there. They still need offensive weapons, but also remember this with the Texans. Remember John Mechie, the receiver out of Alabama? He's back. He's back practicing with them. He was out last year with that cancer battle, but he's back. So he's a piece that they didn't have last year that they will add. I would love to see the Texans go big like that, go big balls and go get two of the top 3 picks and address quarterback. I'd be pretty happy tomorrow if they pulled that off.
No matter which one of the quarterbacks it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You have to draft a quarterback.
Yes.
I hear Rob Daber say this all the time, and I agree with him. Just because if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's not going to work out if you don't take them, right? You've got to take them.
Doesn't matter.
It's like saying I want to get married, but I don't want to date people. Well, you're not going to get married if you don't date somebody. You're not going to get to the final if you don't. I mean, you can't try to find your perfect spouse without going on some dates with some people. You got to draft a quarterback.
You just don't walk up and say, let's get married.
I don't know. There's a lot of reality shows on Netflix these days.
Oh, yeah.
That would argue with that.
So I'll be happy with that. Somebody said Tyler Smith was a reach last year. It was a home run. I don't think it was a reach. Well, at the time it was seen as a reach because the argument was he was a second-round pick and they took him in the first. But no, that was a great pick by the Cowboys. And I remember being in Vegas checking in with you guys.
They've done some good things in that.
And I disagreed with those that thought it was a reach. I thought it was a reach based on where he was projected.
Or you could have got him.
But the Cowboys needed that position. That's where they were picking, and they were fearful if they traded down. Because people always talk about, why don't you trade down? You have to have a team to trade down with. Somebody's going to want to come up with you. It takes 2 to tango. You can't just say, hey, we're trading down. You got to find a trade partner. And I do think the Cowboys did try to trade back a little bit last year, but couldn't. And so they took the player. I don't have a problem with that. Ty, what's going to make you happy tomorrow if the Cowboys take whom tonight?
I wouldn't be opposed to taking an offensive lineman. I would be very happy if they got Bijan. I don't think that's going to happen though. And then tight end wise, that wouldn't be best case scenario for me, but I would like Dalton Kincaid over Matthew Mayer.
Okay.
Not Matthew Mayer.
So if you take if you take either an offensive lineman or one of those tight ends, you're good.
I feel like I think
everybody. There's 30 teams that want Bijan Robinson, so that's everybody can't have him.
It has to be Kincaid if it's a tight end.
Okay.
For me to be happy about
I
it.
think there's a number of guys that would fit the bill there, but
Like Kincaid's a kid from Utah.
yeah.
Transferred in from San Diego State. Very, very athletic. The other thing, we've said this over and over. Now you're starting to see these, bold opinions from the draft experts. We said it for the last month and a half. Daniel Jeremiah said point blank that there hasn't been. I mean, there are 4 first-round grade tight ends in this draft, or top 40 grade draft. It's been 10 years since there's been more than one tight end available. This is the draft to get a tight end. It's also why a guy like Dalton Schultz hit the free agent market and there was no market for him, right? I mean, he ended up in Houston on a 1-year deal because teams were like, no, we're going to wait and see if we can get one of these tight ends we like a lot coming into this draft. And so I think you'll see a little bit of a run. Maybe not just all tonight. I think you might see 2 first-round tight ends, but then early tomorrow, early Friday, you're going to see the other ones. Darnell Washington out of Georgia, Luke Musgrove out of Oregon State are names to watch who are going to be taken in that spot. But I think the Cowboys could go there. And look, as long as the Cowboys take whoever the best guy on their board is, I think you should be happy. The Cowboys have drafted really well. As Jerry Jones said earlier this week, drafting hasn't been our problem. Coaching has.
Yeah, and
and quarterback play.
I'm still, C.J. Stroud. I mean, is that going to be? That's still available to be there, but it's now.
Look,
there's too much of a cloud around that, so they're going to go. Their head coach is going to go safest pick also with the Texans.
I just said I would be doing cartwheels if they went Stroud and Will Anderson. Look, if C.J. Stroud really did get an 18 on the cognitive test, I will. But I don't know that, right? I mean, there's been speculative that he didn't. He took it again. Who knows? But yes, I need a quarterback that can process quickly. And but again, the tape on C.J. Stroud, there's a lot of good tape for him, and it's not all terrible. There are times where he looks skittish.
That dude
under
is
pressure.
not playing against bad players at practice, that.
Yeah, and the Georgia game really stands out as, okay, that's what he can be. But, yeah, again, Texas have to take quarterback. If we come in tomorrow and Houston didn't take a quarterback,
what the fans going to be like?
It'll be Bitterman tomorrow.
Bitterman.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Texans, Brad Kellner, BK, our former producer, now doing great. I mean, this guy's risen through the ranks. He is in Kansas City, and he's going to join us at 9:30 of our show. So 9:30 of our show, we're going to talk to him. Also, I'm hoping to hear back. I don't want to tease this if it doesn't happen. We're trying to talk to Mack Brown this morning. Mack Brown, Longhorn head coach, of course, now at North Carolina. He's back this week for the Mack, Jack, and McConaughey event, including Garth Brooks tonight at ACL Live at the Moody Theater. We'll try to check in with Mack. I know they have a big golf tournament this morning that they're playing in, and I had some contact that maybe we'll get him for a few minutes to preview that weekend and talk to Mack, see how he's doing out there at North Carolina. So keep posted. We'll lock it in. And we also have more on Aaron Rodgers is officially a New York Jet. The NBA playoffs were scintillating last night, 4 games, and 2 more teams are on to the second round, including the Miami Heat with the stunner. Ty will have hot or not for the end of the hour. It's B&E on the Horn.
It's Bucky and Erin.
B&E on the horn. Yeah, we're working. We're working all day today.
Absolutely. Big shout out to our buddy Brett Garrett, who's and the
Titleist.
Titleist reps. Get those Titleist clubs, get those Titleist balls, those Pro Vs. And I want to thank Brett and his buddy here in town for helping out with the Mullet Open. And Brett was headed out yesterday in Michigan to play in a big, huge Titleist golf tournament. And guess what? It snowed.
Oh,
it sucks, man.
Can you play golf in the snow?
yeah, sure.
Oh,
Ball gets lost.
oh yeah.
Little bit.
That white ball and that,
Depends on how-
unless
how
you're playing
deep
with
the
one of
snow
those
is.
green balls.
I feel like if it was like hardened snow, it'd be pretty easy to hit a ball off of
You'd
it.
be
though.
sliding all over the place. It was hard snow. That's
No,
ice.
where you need to play is at Blue Bonnet, the old Blue Bonnet course here in the middle of July.
That's
And
like
you want
the
to see a
parking
ball?
lot.
You want to see a ball go?
Is that still open? I think it's gone.
I think it is gone by
Blue
now.
Bonnet was always the course.
First
where
course I ever played in the state of Texas
Blue
was Blue
Bonnet?
Bonnet. Yes.
out there at by Decker Lake. And,
Oh my God! I hit a
it's only-
ball in the fairway, and I went out there. It was like the Sahara. It had like these cracks in the fairway.
And it
like you could
bounced and
my
bounced
ball
and
kept-
bounced.
Like, where's my ball? I never hit a ball this far.
No, you can hit it out there, but you also have to play next to the gun range.
Oh
So
yeah,
as
that's
you're-
right on
as
the other
you're-
side of the road.
Yeah, as you're swinging, pow! No, wait now.
On the other side of the road. That's
That
right.
can
They
be
did have the gun
distracting.
range.
That can be distracting.
What a place! I played the places. I loved it. I mean, when I first started, playing. I mean, I had the nice deal with Barton Creek, of course, country club, being a
'Cause you were
coach.
yeah.
But dude, I played at Blue Bonnet, and I played at what is out in
Blue Bonnet,
what was the
Barton
one?
Creek, a little different.
What?
A little
Yeah.
different.
What was the one out there before all the homes got built? Yeah, out near where the Dell Diamond is here.
Black Hawk.
Black Hawk. Oh man,
That's where my roommate plays every weekend, and I'm like,
Black Hawk.
I'm like, well, why do you drive all the way up there?
It's up the tollway. Not bad. Because nobody's got tee times. That's what we're talking about. This
Yeah.
tour of Texas golf we're doing.
God,
No one
Black
can get
Hawk.
it. You know how hard it is to get a tee time if you don't call Monday or Tuesday at most every course around town. People are into their golf, and
Get the Golf Now app.
no, that's true too.
You get a really good deal on the golf app.
Yes,
Really?
Well, it's better than it's always better than if you call the clubhouse and get a tee time. that
Really?
way. Yes.
We by the way, Brett Garrett before he went off to Titleist to be a big wig, he was at Onion Creek.
Yep.
Our course of the month on our tour of Texas golf courses, brought to you by Callahan's General Store. Says Blue Bonnet is gone. Missed the
Gone.
place.
Wow.
It was a goat pasture for sure, but it was fun. It's fun. I loved hitting on that driving range because you hit out over and you can see the lake over there. It's a pretty view, man.
But I've never seen a ball go so far.
Hey, so we'll get into some Aaron Rodgers conversation. Did you see his news conference yesterday? Introductory news conference yesterday afternoon at 1?
Yeah, he looked refreshed and ready to go. He
does.
looks like he's ready to go play some football.
And he came off well. He was like, I've been looking for. I've heard a lot about this and New York media. He's ready. But
He mentioned New Jersey a bunch of times. Like, dude,
that's where
just
the
go ahead and
facility
call.
is.
Yeah, I know, but just don't spend your time in Jersey.
he says he's
Try
buying a
not
house
to.
in Jersey.
What?
Yeah.
Right, well, it's much cheaper.
That's where they all live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
One of those
And
nice
hell's-
neighborhoods out there.
I'm sure there's some nice spots.
Some nice spots. All right.
You don't have to deal with the city every day.
Before we get to that, though, let me mention that we've talked about Steve Sarkisian. Sark was at the Touchdown Club of Houston yesterday and, revving up the fan base and getting everybody fired up there. Mattress Mac was there. And there were some headlines. I mean, he likes his team, thinks they're, poised to make a run at the Big 12 championship, doesn't shy away from that. But then somebody asked him, how much did it cost you to get Arch Manning? Which has always been certainly from other programs, the narrative that Texas bought Arch and paid for Arch. And Sark, fired back and says, everybody's under the impression or assumption that this was an NIL deal for him to come to the University of Texas. It absolutely was not. He said, Sark said that Cooper Manning, Arch's father and older brother to Peyton and Eli, texted him after Arch committed to the Longhorns with a text that said, if there's a message to tell any of the other recruits you're recruiting, is that Arch Manning is coming to Texas because he loves the University of Texas, he loves the coaches and loves the program. This is not about NIL. He's taken zero money from an NIL perspective. So, and according
But
to...
doesn't mean he won't later
Right,
on.
well,
he wants to earn his.
Right, and according to Sark, he has a deal that from Archie, Grandpa, that said you can't take any NIL money until you're the starting quarterback. And he will be the starting quarterback at some point at Texas, and that's when you can start taking deals. And so, again, look, this is the last guy that needs money.
That's
by
what
the
I'm
way.
saying. Yeah, really. He doesn't need any money.
He doesn't. But, doesn't mean he can't make it. He's worth his value is his value.
That's right.
But I do like that mindset, and that's something I'm sure Sark sold to the other recruits. They had a great recruiting class, but Arch is coming here, and he'll make money in where he needs to. He's already a huge brand. He can start doing commercials with his uncles if he wanted to, right? I mean, he can start jumping into all the commercials. Peyton's on every commercial that comes on television these days. But I thought that was an interesting piece of news.
Do you think he'll be a part of a Manning cast this upcoming season?
I'm sure. But again, I think one thing about the Mannings, and certainly Cooper, they've been very level-headed about this process and deliberate about how they want to go through this. They wanted it. Anytime you hear Peyton or Eli talk about it, it was always an idea of let Arch have a normal process. He's not a normal kid. We know that. He's got the last name Manning, so it can never be like everybody else. But let him enjoy it as much as he can and make it as much about his decision. And, one of the reasons he came to Texas, he met Michael Taft and a lot of these Longhorns, and he really likes those guys. And he liked the people that he was hanging out with when he would come to Austin. That's letting him not just choosing it because Alabama and Georgia were the other choices. I'm sure he met some good people there too. So, but I think it also leads that, Sark was asked, is he going to? He said he asked of the Manning family, quote, "Is it reasonable understanding that this is a process of development?" Actually, he was asked if he thought the Mannings will be patient as he waits for his opportunity. He said, quote, "I hope not. I want him to be scratching at the surface every chance he can get to be more than that. When we accept our role that way, that's a problem." But he does say the Manning family is very reasonable and understanding that it's a process of development. And so essentially he's going to redshirt this year. He understands he's probably not going to play unless.
Yeah, they expect him to play when he's ready as a college quarterback.
For sure.
There's no reason to rush him to do anything.
But look, he also reiterated yesterday.
His family's not going to let him get rushed into anything.
Well, part of the
Those
reason.
guys understand the process.
Well, look, part of the reason when Sark was hired here was that he felt like he had a good relationship with Arch Manning and the Manning family, and that, when he was recruiting Arch when he was at Alabama, that, this family wants really good quarterback development. That's a big part of the decision, right? Arch, when Peyton went to Tennessee, he played for, what's his name? The coach who was his offensive coordinator there, who went on to coach at Ole Miss and at
Cutcliffe?
Duke, David Cutcliffe, and got great quarterback development. That was a big part of this. And Sark and A.J. Milwee built that trust with the Mannings that they're going to help develop the player to his fullest. And, he's going to compete. But I think this year, Sark reiterated that Quinn is the starter and our starter. But we don't want our backups to give an inch.
No.
Press them every day. And we're going to play the best player. We'll see as that goes. Hey, also, we'll get some more from the Touchdown Club yesterday of what Sark had to say coming up. But I wanted to play this Aaron Rodgers sound before we get too late to the break, because you watched it. I watched the whole press conference, and I thought Aaron Rodgers came off very strong in this because he sat there, answered all the questions. Here was one about, trying to win a championship. What's your motivation to come back and, because Aaron Rodgers has said this offseason that at one point he was 90% retired. Then he went into his darkness retreat, came out, and decided he wanted to keep playing football, but realized it was either going to be, probably not in Green Bay, it was going to be with the Jets. But here's what Aaron Rodgers, go between with the media yesterday.
How driven are you to win for this fan base, which hasn't been to the playoffs since 2010, the longest stretch in professional sports for the 4 different leagues right now?
It's exciting. The Jets have an incredible, passionate fan base. I saw that last year at Lambeau. Obviously, about Fireman Ed and his passion for the team. I think that's an exciting draw to this as well, as being a part of something special. I grew up watching old VHS tapes of the Super Bowls. And so obviously I know about the guarantee and Broadway Joe. Been a while since then. I noticed walking in this morning that Super Bowl III trophy is looking a little lonely. So
looking a little lonely. Yeah, so he's coming to win. And he said a couple of times, he referenced when the New York Jets came to Lambeau Field last year and beat the daylights out of the Packers. And the Packers were a decent team last year, but they were by no means as good as they'd been the previous 2. But the Jets came in, I think they beat them like 24-3. Like their defense just suffocated, and Aaron got to play against that defense and see how good Sauce Gardner is, how good they are on that side of the ball. He also talked about Robert Saleh, who was the head coach of the Jets. He was in San Francisco, right? And San Francisco has knocked Aaron Rodgers and the Packers out of the playoffs several times,
yeah.
much like the Cowboys. And he said, I know what Robert Saleh's all about. I had to play against his defense many times in San Francisco, and I love the way he coaches and leads his team. And then obviously the Nathaniel Hackett part of that is big. He said that point blank. I mean, when Nathaniel Hackett, who got fired in Denver as the head coach, was hired by the Jets to be the offensive coordinator, that was a big piece to this because Aaron Rodgers gets to go to a new team but doesn't have to learn a new offense. He knows Nathaniel Hackett's offense. The 2 MVPs he won recently were under Nathaniel Hackett's offensive leadership in Green Bay. So he's going to walk in knowing the system, and he can help teach the other players what the system's going to be all about. And as you said to me, Garrett Wilson's got to be pretty happy now.
Oh, my goodness.
Garrett Wilson.
You're talking about getting a ball quick and on time where you can catch and run.
Well, think about that. He was the rookie of the year without a quarterback. How about now you have this guy who's an elite thrower of the football, throwing to tight spots like he can. I just think it's an interesting move. I mean, I think the Jets are in this conversation. If they have a good draft coming up tonight and into the weekend, I think the Jets are right there with Cincinnati and Buffalo behind Kansas City. There's Kansas City and then everybody else. We get that. But I think the Jets are high on that list of everybody else.
Yeah, I still think they're fourth on that list of everybody else, even with Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see. Aaron Rodgers, what a storyline that will be, wearing number 8. Wearing number 8. And I'll say this. I said it earlier in the week, and I'll put it out there for comment. Aaron Rodgers, the more we cover him and talk about all his diva-ness and drama, it does remind me a little bit of Kevin Durant, right? Kevin Durant is a unique player, but he's also a unique person. He's not cut like everybody else. He's just not. Kevin is, he's criticized for joining the Warriors, and he doesn't listen to the noise a lot of the times. But so they're both unique in that way, that they kind of get in their own way, being divas and, being unique.
Yeah, you're not
themselves.
pulling me out no matter what you say about me in the media. I am going to be just exactly who I am.
Sometimes they'll fight the media, and sometimes they're looking for attention when they say they're not.
Absolutely.
Durant's that way. But at the same time, Kevin Durant is a prodigy as a scorer, right? He's he can play basketball till he's in his 40s, shooting the basketball if he can stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers to me is the same way. He's I don't know that we've ever seen someone so effortlessly throw a football to where it needs to be on time, accurately. Does that mean the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl? No, but I do think he's going to be able to walk in there with a good team, with really good weapons, and throw for a lot of touchdowns. I just think that's Aaron Rodgers can do that.
Yeah, Robert Saleh just has to keep his defense playing good defense. They have to continue to be in that top 5 type of defense in order for Aaron Rodgers to have success.
Sure. But the weapons are sitting there, and Aaron Rodgers was not blind to that yesterday, saying, look, I watched that team. I know what they've got.
And that running back is healthy. That is huge.
Yeah, I'm going to hand it to Breece Hall. I'm going to throw it to Garrett Wilson, and Alan Lazard is there. They've got weapons. Offensive line will be improved. You can
Is
see
other little buddy coming too?
Which one?
The old one?
Randall Cobb. He might show up at some point.
He will show up at some point, right?
Well, look, I mean, and they may take an offensive lineman tonight. I mean, they're sitting there at that 15th pick, and they could take one of those 4 tackles to further bolster the offensive line. Why wouldn't you?
And they're getting Micaiah Beacon back.
They are?
He was hurt last year.
Yeah, Mekhi
right?
Becton. Remember, they took Mekhi Becton, the massive tackle out of Louisville a couple drafts ago. He missed all of last year. He'll be back. So, yeah, I mean, they could fortify the offensive line, which with you have a 39-year-old quarterback, probably a good idea. But if Aaron Rodgers is given time and has weapons to throw to, I still think he's still as accurate and as talented as any passer in the league throwing the football. He just won 2 MVPs. But he seemed like a motivated guy yesterday, Buck, who's happy with the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, just get him through this year because I know there'll be drama at the end of the year. Just get him through the year. And if he can stay healthy, I do realize what next year will bring. It will bring drama if I'm ready to retire again.
Heck no, maybe he loves it.
No. He has to have drama. He's got to have it.
So does Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
It's always there, some way, shape, or form.
What are we going to do when the offseason comes if Aaron Rodgers isn't talking about retiring?
We'll talk about Lamar Jackson or how bad the Texans are going to screw things up or the next diva out there. We'll pick it up. Hey, hot or not coming next. We'll also reset those headlines with Jimmy Butler and the Heat stunning the Milwaukee Bucks last night. We'll also let you hear from Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's taking some heat for some comments he made after the game, disagreeing with those who would call their season a failure. We'll let you hear that coming up. Hot or not is next, though, here on B&E.
what's hot and what's not.
Hot and not on this Buck Off Thursday. B&E with you. You asked about the weather in Kansas City, Buck. Not bad. It's going to be fine. We got the big setup there at the Union Station in KC. It's be chilly. It'll be coat weather. You know what I'm saying? 53 right now
53,
in KC.
okay.
Temperatures in the middle 60s and then cloudy. It'll be fine. Be fine. No rain in the forecast in KC. Tonight for the NFL Draft. You know what today is, Buck? National Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day.
Oh,
Take your kids
I
to work
remember
day.
that.
Come on now. Load them up.
To bring many grandkids in here.
Did you ever go to work with your pops, Ty, back in the day?
He used to force me to go to work with him.
I actually went with my dad once.
Where?
When he was not a middle school teacher and a coach.
Yeah.
In middle school. Yeah, I went to his class.
Ty's like, he used to force me.
He'd be like, sit at this desk. And I usually was in trouble for like failing a test or something. And
it was a punishment.
Yeah, go into a lumber and specialized doors office and sitting there for 10 hours is not a good time. Good punishment.
Oh, so it wasn't to like show you the ropes.
I remember one time we made a model solar system there.
Ooh, nice.
And that was a 15-hour office trip, I think, and we were there late into the evening.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that project was already due, and you were trying to get it done.
The day before. Yeah.
I went to his junior high stuff, and I was playing high school football, and I could see those kids looking at me like, "Hey, if your dad wasn't in here right now, I'd come over there and whip your ass." What do you mean, my buddies right now?
You know, what's fun is my two sons are 22 and 25 now, and they're working with me on that Eyes on Texas podcast I'm doing. With Dave Campbell's Texas Football and here on the Horn. It's a lot of fun, so getting to work with them, that's cool. Enjoying that a lot because my oldest is a really good film editor and doing a great job with the technical side of it. Nolan's, of course, working here at times. So that's fun. That's fun to do the Eyes on Texas pod with your kids and Mike Craven as well. So that's good. So, yeah, take your sons and daughters to work. Remember, I've told you my dad, he used to ride the bus down to downtown Houston because we lived in the burbs, and then he'd get on the bus and go down to downtown Houston. The Houston Chronicle is where he worked. He was a manager of internal audit, and so every once in a while I'd get on the bus with him, and I'd go down, and then I would just kind of roam around downtown Houston. I'd go through all the tunnels. You know, Houston's got a whole array of tunnels underneath downtown. I'd go to the library. I'd walk all over downtown, and then go back. We go to lunch. Yeah. That was when I was, old enough to do such things.
And when I was a little kid, I had my dad clean the ice cream place up. I mean, a big ice cream joint. And I used to go in on Sundays with him, and he wouldn't know why he was there.
Yeah.
And the tubs of ice cream would be still in the deal. And he used to say, you go ahead and make yourself a banana split every Sunday. So that's where I got all ice creamed out.
That's where you become a fan of ice cream.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was like, I liked the bus and then walking all over downtown Houston, taking all that in. That was cool. But, yeah, take your kids. Ty, what do you have for us in Hot or Not?
It's a little slow today. I did see that Floyd Mayweather is fighting John Gotti's grandson, John Gotti III.
Oh, he's a boxer?
Yeah, he's 2-0 as a professional boxer. He's originally a mixed martial arts fighter, 5-1. It's one of those.
I'm not beating that dude.
It's one of those events where they have like a big music performance. It's less about the boxing than it is just like a charity thing. But
I don't think I'd be wanting to fight Gotti's.
No.
Kids. Yeah, what if he?
I'm going to take a hit and go down.
Still have connections?
I'm going to go down.
I'm taking a fall on that deal.
Yeah.
Just punching that guy. Oh, man. It's also Lizzo's birthday today. Happy birthday to Lizzo.
Yeah.
35.
We're going to get
eat good tonight.
We're going to get
an
absolutely beautiful cake for Lizzo.
Talented.
I feel like she might be next on your list of letters that you write to
Lizzo?
To musicians and whatnot.
No.
I feel like you could have some good advice for her. She's doing very well on her own.
No, my next letter is going to go to Lionel Richie to tell him what a great job he's continuing to do.
Lionel Richie?
Yeah. He'll be in Austin in August. Well, I'm going to send him a letter. I'm going to send him a handwritten, see if I get a return on that.
I bet you would get you might get a return with him, yeah, with an older artist like that.
By the way, he's resurrected his career doing that American Idol judging thing because now he's all on tour and everybody's playing his songs again. Oh, yeah. Lionel Richie.
And I'm going to say Willie will do a surprise appearance, I believe.
Willie Nelson?
With Lionel when he comes to
who turns
Austin.
90 this weekend? Who has a 90th birthday coming up?
Willie
Nelson.
Yes, sir.
With Lizzo. Melissa Jefferson, if you care to know. Melissa Jefferson.
Talented. Very
Otherwise
talented.
known as Lizzo. All right, we're back. We will pick up these headlines. We'll get into this NBA. Also, what Giannis had to say about the Bucks falling out in the first round, becoming the first top seed to lose to a play-in team, which is what they did last night. Jimmy Butler was incredible. Details coming. QC Kinetics, folks. 2 great locations, one in Austin, one in Round Rock, both there to help you through your chronic pain. That's really what they're all about, regenerative medicine. They're the largest and fastest growing regenerative medicine group in the country, certainly in Austin and Texas, and because so many people are getting the results and seeing the results that they seek, which is to get through the chronic pain in your knees, in your hips, your shoulders, your lower back, wherever that joint is, it's just aching because of old sports injuries, arthritis, bone-on-bone situations there. And, of course, your options are, costly and long-term heavy surgeries. Obviously, if it's just, chronic like it is every day, you're taking pain pills and steroid injections to try to mask it for a while. But regenerative medicine is the future, and it's here for you right now, using your body's own healthy blood cells, highly concentrated, injected into those areas to affect change, to affect relief, to get you where you want to be and get you back to doing the things you want to do. And QC Kinetics can help get you there. And all you have to do is call them, 512-593-4303. That's 512-593-4303. Set up that no-obligation consultation. Doesn't cost you anything to at least learn about the regenerative treatments, why it works and how it works, and then go from there. Make a decision from that educated mindset. At QC Kinetics, 512-593-4303 at QC Kinetics. Put it together for Thursday. It's your day. Buck-ons and buck-offs all morning long. Giannis Antetokounmpo last night, the Greek Freak, eloquently said buck off to a reporter who asked him if their season was a failure after last night's outcome. We'll let you hear that. Also, Aaron Rodgers introduced as the new coach of quarterback of the New York Football Jets. Ime Udoka introduced as the new head coach of the Houston Rockets.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he says he's learned. He's
he
taken the year off to
rethink life, do some different things, get some help.
Yeah, get some help. I watched that. It was funny. I flipped from the Aaron Rodgers news conference right over to NBA TV, and that was on. Tillman Fertitta and the Rockets introducing Ime Udoka. I think if that works, I think I can coach. We know that. He was with that Spurs organization for so long. Played there and then coached with Pop on his way to the Celtics, and they were in the finals last year. So, by the way, Tillman Fertitta, he let the cat out of the bag. Somebody asked, the owner of the Rockets, what do you say to people who say you're not willing to spend money? And he scoffed at that and talked about how they have a new practice facility coming online, and no one was supposed to know that. That was top secret. Like, they were supposed to have like a big presentation and announce it.
Really? Yeah. Secret? There's secrets out there?
Because then, of course, somebody followed up with, what? Y'all have a new practice facility? What is this? And he's like, oh, man, I'm in big trouble. I wasn't supposed to say that. But, Rockets, they think they may be trending up with a new coach, some good young players, Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, and a good young roster, Kevin Porter Jr. Now they have a coach. And now, boy, if they get that lottery ball, and, you're talking about the big 7'5" Frenchman.
Wembanyama.
Who would be the second pick, Ty? Do we know? Scoot Henderson. But whoever Rockets and whoever gets 1, 2, 3, they're going to have a good player to build around. It's not going to be the 7'5" long-armed Wembanyama, but only one team can get him. But Houston, San Antonio, and Detroit in the mix for that coming up. When is that? I think it's coming up in May, right? The draft lottery where they get those ping pong balls and decide.
It's right after the finals. Right?
Is that long? I think that's the draft, right?
You might be right.
I think it comes up in May.
Yeah, we got a couple of weeks here, Ed. It's absolutely crazy here. Next week will be next week at this time will be the mini Mullet Open. Saturday will be the Mullet Open. It'll be then Kentucky Derby. We'll start to move on towards your Mama Joke Friday and Mother's Day. Oh.
Yeah, well, and you got hockey playoffs.
Ty, you have not been here for your Mama Jokes, have you?
I don't think so.
It's a tradition unlike any other. Kind of like Buck Off Thursday.
But triply, but you don't have to go, they don't send us off. We say things that are, that your mom was just, it's not good.
How many months?
No sensitivity training, right, that day? We don't have to go. And these people that call us don't have to go to sensitivity training on that day generally.
Yeah, we kind of give you a leash on that one.
Oh, man.
It's our honoring your moms, right?
Yeah, we are honoring Mother.
When did I start doing the show?
You would know that better than us.
I
take a note.
The time is all fused together.
I know it is. It does.
I've been dazed for the last 22 years, actually.
Since he hit his head on the car door.
Yeah.
Recently. Oh, no, recently, kind of groggy from that. Hey, let's get to the headlines, trending topics, and a lot to come, but a lot going on right now, too. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news, and starting the NBA first round of the playoffs. Stunner last night. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat did it again. They staged their second straight double-digit fourth-quarter rally and took out the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks on their home floor in overtime. After Butler's 56-point performance in Game 4, he turned around and scored 42 more last night, including an incredible bucket late that sent the game to overtime. The Heat become the first team to be a play-in team to win a playoff series and the fifth ever as an 8th seed to knock off the top overall seed in NBA history.
We were resilient. We were down late. It seemed to be that way a lot during the series. We stayed with it, got some stops, made some huge buckets, and stayed together. That's it.
They were down 16 entering the fourth quarter and won that game. Bucks season is over. Miami will now face the Knicks, who advanced to the second round last night as well. They took out Cleveland in 5 games, 106-95 in the West. Memphis Grizzlies avoided elimination and forced their series with the LA Lakers back to LA with a 116-99 win in Game 5. Also a thriller last night out west. The series has been tremendous. Warriors go into Sacramento and take down the Kings 123-116. They're up 3-2. One other NBA note we just mentioned, the Rockets officially introduced Ime Udoka as their new head coach. Major League Baseball last night, Astros finished off that impressive road trip. They went to Atlanta and Tampa and went 5-1. They finished it off last night with a 1-0 victory. Hunter Brown and 2 relievers combined on a 2-hit gem as Houston gets the rubber game there. Those 2 teams, Tampa and Atlanta, 36-5 against everybody else. Houston went 5-1. Rangers wrapped up a frustrating 3-game series in Cincinnati. 3rd straight late loss. Reds third baseman Nick Senzel hit a walk-off 2-run homer in the 9th to seal the win 5-3. At Dell Diamond last night, Round Rock rolled again, beat Albuquerque 8-2. First round of the NFL draft set for tonight in Kansas City. Carolina Panthers on the clock, top overall selection. They're expected to take Alabama's Bryce Young. Houston will have the pick at 2. Anybody's guess what they're planning to do. They also have the 12th pick in the first round. One thing certain tonight, one of the most ignominious droughts in the history of Texas football will come to an end. Bijan Robinson will be drafted tonight at some point in the first round. When his name is called, he'll become the first Longhorn offensive player drafted in the first round since Vince Young in 2006.
What is the Warriors series? What is that?
3-2.
3-2?
Now
Did they go back to?
Where
are they going back
to? Golden State now. That was
Yeah.
huge. We said
Bye, Felicia.
as a team that only won 11 road games all year, Golden State was going to have to win on the road, and they didn't have to wait till Game 7. They got it last night, so now they can close out back at home in Game 6 over the weekend.
I'm going to throw that as yes, they will close that out this weekend.
Yeah, the Kings are coming, and De'Aaron Fox playing a little bit banged up now. I mean, Kings will be.
How did he play last night with his busted up finger?
Dude, I was sleeping.
Did you see any of it, Ty? You were sleeping with me?
I didn't watch any
Along with
NBA
me and
last
Aaron,
night.
because we were both like.
Well, that was a late game. And that was the last game of the
Was
four.
it lightning by then? Was the lightning coming through the room by then?
Well, then, yeah, woken up with the thunder boomers rolling through.
Oh, the boomers.
At least you didn't get hail. We had people texting us
No, I
about
did not get
grapefruit-size
any
hail that was just bashing things last night out north. And then Dripping Springs had some golf ball-size hail or bigger.
Don't screw up the air. We got Founders Weekend coming.
Weekend looks pretty good. There's another chance
There you
for
go.
another round of severe weather Friday evening, it looks like, at least as the clock has it now. Should be good today. It's supposed to be beautiful by this afternoon with temperatures high 70s. But De'Aaron Fox had 24 points last night in the loss. But, the story there was Draymond Green off the bench with 21 points. That's the most points he scored in a game in 5 years. 21 big points. He had 7 assists as well. That's the Golden State team that can win the whole thing again, right? They don't feel like that team right now, but they're the 6th seed in the West.
Mm-hmm.
But you got 31 from Steph. You got 25 from Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins had 20 points. And, off the bench, you had Draymond Green doing his thing, 21 and 7.
Wow.
So pretty good. Pretty good. Big win for them last night. Said
Hard to get rid of the champions, isn't it?
Well, never underestimate the heart of a champion. My man Rudy Tomjanovich had that to say.
Numerous championships.
Yeah, well, two. But the Golden State Warriors, by the way, much like the Rockets, the second year the Rockets won the championship in the 90s, they were the 6th seed in the West, and they won the whole thing. That was the Akeem Clyde team. This would be a 6th seed finding a way, and there's a lot of – Vegas still likes Golden State, Ty, right? I mean, they're not giving up on that, even though Phoenix is doing what they're doing, and the West is pretty loaded. But Denver obviously is really good, but they still like Golden State.
I like Golden State over Phoenix.
That's going to be a tough team. I mean, they're healthy. Gary Payton II was back last night. You still have the Splash Brothers. You still have Andrew Wiggins now, who was so good in last year's finals. You still have, if Draymond can stop kicking people, stomping on people, and not getting suspended, I think they'll be okay. But, yeah, they're the champions until proven otherwise. And I would say Rudy prophetic, never underestimate them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you still got to beat them 4 times.
Well, yeah, they've been in this situation.
Many times.
Yes.
Speaking of that, the Heat with, the breathtaking performance of Jimmy Butler. 98 points in the last 2 games. Unbelievable. They're down 12 with 6 minutes to play in Miami in Game 4. Came back and won it, thanks to Jimmy Butler. They were down 16 entering the fourth quarter on the road in Milwaukee last night. They came all the way back and won it in overtime. And you heard Jimmy Butler say, we're tenacious. They're playing a great brand of basketball, and he's playing on a different level. And here was Giannis Antetokounmpo after the game. This is getting some national headlines that Giannis – this is a reporter who based in Milwaukee asking a question of the Greek Freak.
But I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh, my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay.
Eric.
Do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, you know. And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, you know. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, you know, and hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures? No, it was not. It was steps to it, you know, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one.
All right, there's Giannis.
Just answer the question. Just say, no, I don't think it was a failure, Eric. And then go about your bit. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, just answer the question. It's not.
Didn't need a lecture, but yes.
Well, no, he didn't have to. He did not have to break that down. It wasn't a very difficult question. It was a yes or no. It was yes or no. Is it a failure or not? No, it's not, Eric. And that's all you have. That's it. You've answered the question. He didn't ask you to break it down.
Yeah.
And he said, I didn't want to get personal. Well, you ended up.
I think, look, all I'll say on that is if he says no,
right,
I don't think it was a failure, well, what's going to be written and said? Well, Giannis is okay being the top seed.
I don't care what's written. I'm just answering the question that the guy who asked me the question.
But I think Giannis understands what the climate is and what if he says no.
Or now, if he gives me a follow-up, if he's going to do me a follow-up, then I'll answer the rest of it.
But, I mean, if he says no,
yeah,
as the number one team, the best record in the league, losing in the first round with double-digit leads, you know, Stephen A. Smith and all these guys, that's going to be the story. Giannis is okay, doesn't think it's a fail. I mean, what would Jordan say? What would Kobe say? That's the kind of stuff you got to deal with if you're the best player in the league. You might win the MVP coming up. Either he or Jokic or Embiid are going to win the MVP. So I think he wanted to clarify and explain why he doesn't think it was a failure instead of just saying, no, I don't think it was a failure. But, again, it was his response to the same question he got the year before. There is a media climate that is going to jump all over that for sure. If he just said, no, it wasn't, I think he would have gotten ripped pretty good, coast to coast. But, you know, and that's the world he lives in. But at the same time, that they're going to be scratching their heads because the East is wide open. They had the best record. Were they going to win the whole thing? I don't know. But you should be able to beat Jimmy Butler in the Heat without Tyler Hero on that team, and they couldn't finish the deal. And by the way, you probably should be able to get a shot off in the overtime and not let the clock run out in a tie game, which is what we're in a 2-point game, which is what they did last night, which is, you know, Mike Budenholzer scratching his head because Grayson Allen pretty much ran out the clock. I mean, you had a Heat team that was without – they had 3 key guys, including Bam Adebayo, who had fouled out, not on the floor. And in a 2-point game to try to force double overtime, they couldn't get even a shot off, which, you know, failure is probably too strong. Is it disappointing? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. To put that regular season together.
I would just put it on the guy who was asking the question. Just – you know what I'm saying? Just, okay, no, it was not a failure. I didn't feel it was a failure. Now, if you want to then ask me another question, why do you think that? Then I'll go on to do that.
Look, it's a very Giannis answer because he's a pretty cerebral guy, and it's, you know.
Oh, it'd be a lot of people would answer that way.
Right.
But the guy didn't ask for all that went with that.
Sure. But
you let him do a follow-up. I mean, that's his job to do the follow-up, right?
Well, if you're the reporter, you're happy with that answer
of course you do.
Yeah.
You get what you want.
Yeah, you get a story.
Sure.
Now we're talking about it. We're talking about Eric.
Well, and so Eric, if you're, again, I'm just trying to put myself in Giannis' shoes. You know how this goes. If you don't, you're the best player on the team. You're the best player in the league. If you lose in the first round of the 8th seed, who had to play their way into the tournament, you know, what's the proper answer? No, there isn't one. I thought that was acceptable. It's like, no, we had a good season. We'll come back next year and try to do it again. Only one team's going to win this thing.
Right. We've won a championship.
But so I think, in the risk of if Eric doesn't follow it up with a question, then you explained yourself of why you don't think it was a failure. And so now that can be added to the screaming and the yelling that will go on because they choked the series away to the 8th seed as the team with the best record in the entire NBA. All right, so that's the NBA last night. Jimmy Butler was phenomenal. We'll also get back into the Deion Sanders conversation, which was pretty hot in the first hour. Deion Sanders not only rebuilding his roster, but according to a pretty in-depth report at theathletic.com, he is cutting players. He essentially is telling players, you're not wanted here. And we'll, in a college football city like Austin, Texas, we'll debate whether that's a good way of going about it or not. But many of the players who jumped into the portal, who entered the portal on Monday and Tuesday after the spring game, have now said that they were told to get in the portal. That you're not welcome in Colorado. So we'll get back into that story. Also, quick programming note: David Pierce, who normally joins us on Thursday mornings at 8:30, will not be joining us. He's asked to move to Friday. He's got some scheduling difficulties this morning. So we'll talk to Coach P tomorrow morning. They'll be headed to Fort Worth for their series with TCU this weekend. So no David Pierce coming up. We'll talk Deion Sanders in that Colorado situation. NFL draft, though, is top of mind. It's coming up in a short amount of time. Bryce Young goes one, and then who knows? Who knows? I mean, the Houston Texans are the biggest wild card in this draft.
Do we even know if Bryce Young's going to go number one for sure?
Yes. Will Levis. Will Levis is not going in front of Bryce Young.
Oh, we'll see.
He'll go one. Will Levis, by the way, did have a funny tweet yesterday. Said just quick one sentence that said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet," which
or Reddit.
Yeah, well, that's on the internet. So every story yesterday was about Will Levis, and somebody told somebody, and Will Levis is telling people that he's going number one, and the Panthers have told him they're going to take him number one, and that went crazy. So Will Levis says, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet," which is true. Don't believe it. I think it's Bryce Young. I think that's the one thing that I'm very certain about. So we're at Pluckers tonight. I'll be at the Oak Hill location. We'll be fanned out. Ty will be at the research location. I'm pretty confident if you are the Carolina Panthers general manager for the night, you're going to get that right. And we're all going to have our first special. From there, Texans at 2.
The Texans.
It's all over the place. We are going to check in the 9 o'clock hour, 9:30 with our buddy Brad Kellner, formerly with this radio station, now working in Houston. He is in Kansas City for the draft. We'll get what he thinks is going to happen with the Texans. Arizona is at 3. They want to trade out of that pick, so that one gets precarious. Indianapolis is at 4. They're probably thinking quarterback. Who's going to be available at that point? This thing's getting
take any of them.
And then you have Seattle on the clock at 5 with, two of their first round picks. They've got 5 and 20. Boy, if Seattle, Buck, has a draft online with what they did last year, they're going to be right back in the mix because as we talk about the NFC being wide open, the NFC West is wide open because the San Francisco 49ers are the best team. They don't know what their quarterback situation looks like. Is it Trey Lance? Is it Brock Purdy? Who knows? But the Colts, the Seahawks know that they have.
Can you take that chance as the Seahawks to take Richardson?
I don't think so. I keep thinking it wouldn't be crazy to take a developmental quarterback behind Geno Smith, but at the same time, if you're Pete Carroll and John Schneider, the general manager, and you drafted so many, no team had more rookies walk in and start and play integral roles on their team, and they went to the playoffs with all those rookies. And if they hit this again with 2 and 20 and then other picks, they're right there with the 49ers. They lost to the 49ers.
You're not worried
in the playoffs.
about getting a quarterback ready.
No.
You already got a quarterback.
Pete Carroll's in his 70s now. I think you're thinking, no, let's go for this thing. The NFC's wide open. If we can add a couple of impact players here to go with what we're doing, we don't need an Anthony Richardson to sit and wait. We got Geno Smith. We feel good about him. We've got him re-signed. We'll worry about quarterback later.
We just re-signed him.
And I got to think the Detroit Lions are thinking the same thing, Buck. Anybody in the NFC, not named the Eagles and the Cowboys, are thinking we're in this because the NFC is wide open. I heard an interview yesterday with Cam Hayward, what's his name? Cam Jordan, the defensive end of the New Orleans Saints. Man, he's like, hey, we lost 4 games last year by inside a field goal. We were nearly in the playoffs, and now we got Derek Carr. We're in this thing. Everyone in the NFC, AFC, everybody's good, right? There's going to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks potentially not make the playoffs in the AFC because it's so deep. NFC's open. So if I'm Seattle or Denver, I'm thinking I'm going for it here. I'm taking best player the need position, I'm not worried about developmental quarterbacks in this spot. I'm going because you're drafting 5 and 6 if you're Seattle and Detroit. You're also Detroit's batting. Detroit then comes back on the clock at 18. The Seahawks at 20. I mean, I think you try to make your team a lot better with these picks tonight. And as we keep pointing out, the Jets last year drafted the offensive and defensive rookies of the year when they had 2 first-round picks. You can do it, right? You're impacting your team, not just for the short term, but for the long term. So Seattle, then Denver, or Detroit. Then it's the Raiders, Buck, at 7, right? Then it's Atlanta on the clock at 8. And are they thinking Bijan?
Comes a Bijan sweepstakes.
And then it's the Chicago Bears on the pick. They had the number 1 pick. Now they have the 9th pick. Do they try to replace DJ Moore, who they traded with Carolina to move back? They gave him up. Carolina gave them the Carolina needs to replace DJ Moore. Do the Bears go offensive line, or do they go Bijan if he's still there? There are a lot of people in Chicago are hoping for that.
What if Jordan Addison is available to the Cowboys that late? As I know that's a silly thought.
way.
Just no way.
The only receiver I like is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
We'll see.
Okay.
Cowboys worked out those receivers. I mean, they're thinking.
What do you would think they're good with Brandon Cooks and what they've got, though, right? I mean, maybe some depth later in the draft.
I would rather have a tight end.
I keep hearing Cowboys fans say that. As a Texans fan, I wouldn't just rely on Brandon Cooks. He suffers concussions quite a bit. He's not a guy that's Mr. Dependable and Mr. Reliable. He's a really good player.
He's better than Noah Brown.
Yes. Well, he's got the deep threat. But, the Texans replaced Will Fuller with Brandon Cooks, and both would always get hurt.
Yes.
And then Then he went Operation Shutdown. Now, I think he's going to be engaged in Dallas. I think it was a really good trade. But, if he gets hurt, you're right back to where you were last year. We have Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and you don't have that tight end.
Right.
Jake Ferguson.
Tolino.
And
Jake who?
Turd Ferguson.
Turd Ferguson?
Turd Ferguson, who according to Ty, Travis Kelce has said is the next Travis Kelce. But we'll see. Look, if we come in here tomorrow, I think the Cowboys need to add an offensive weapon, an offensive piece to help this offense. The defense is already really good. The defense could use a piece, sure, but you feel pretty good that the defense is locked in, trading for Stephon Gilmore to play opposite Travion Diggs. I like that a lot. Micah Parsons in year 3. You're feeling good about the defense. Offense, if it's offensive guard to make you more sturdy up front, if it's tight end, if it's receiver, if it's running back. I'm not going to argue with any of those for the Cowboys. You take best player that can help your offense, because what got you beat last year? Your offense.
How about for Cowboys in the second round if little dude from TCU at cornerback is available?
The second round, Tomlinson, he's just so small. The question is going to be size for him. He's got the heart of a lion, but probably third round for him.
You think so?
Where's Nolan Smith supposed to go? I like him for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
He's a wild card. Nolan Smith's a great wild card because, remember, Nolan Smith was the number 1 player coming out of high school, 5-star if there was one, going to Georgia. And he was great at Georgia. And then he got hurt this year, right, and didn't play. He was supposed to be he and Jalen Carter wreaking havoc on that defensive line. Well, he got hurt. Well, then he got healthy, and he went to the combine, and he ran 4.3 at his size. I mean, he's a defensive end. Freak. I mean, total freak show. But you don't have any tape on him from this year. It's kind of like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Both didn't play this year, so you're not certain. But you know who else didn't play their year before they got drafted? Micah Parsons didn't play the year before.
That's right.
That was a choice.
Jamar Chase didn't play the year before he got drafted. Penei Sewell didn't play. That was the COVID year, obviously, so different circumstances. But it's not like just because you didn't play your senior year doesn't mean you can't play.
Yeah, if I'm the Cowboys and the big dude from Clemson is available too.
Ryan Bresee.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Right? Look, if they go defense, I hope it's D-line. I really do. Interior. Yes. Because if a Brian Bresee or a Kalijah Cansey were to fall to you, I think that's the best value there. That's just a player you can't pass up. And
when in doubt, and on offensive, taking the offensive lineman, the best you can find.
Yeah, especially on the interior.
Yep.
Especially someone who can upgrade you on the middle of the pocket to protect Dak and those interior rushes. And
doesn't Jerry need some splashy here?
Well, look again. What got you beat in the playoffs? This is what you're trying to get over that hump. What got you beat? Your lack of weapons, your lack of offense. And Dak Prescott throwing picks. Your defense,
guys hurt on the offensive line.
Your defense was not the problem in the playoffs.
No.
It wasn't the year before against the San Francisco 49ers. So how do you get over that hump?
Run the ball,
well,
like Big Mac says.
More weapons than less. More targets than fewer for Dak Prescott because you got to score more points. I mean, that's just what you have to do. It's the National Football League. You can have the best defense in the league, but you still have to score points. And gosh, if the Eagles draft Bijan Robinson, you're really going to have to score some points. So you may have to score with them.
I mean, the Cowboys still have, I think, over the past 3 years, the number one offense.
But it doesn't matter. What do you have when it matters? What do you have
Bunch
when
of
you got to beat
picks.
the Niners?
Bunch of
Our
picks.
best player got hurt.
Well, then they keep adding weapons to that side of the ball. The defense is not the problem at this point. The defense is Dan Quinn has fixed that.
Run defense still questionable.
No, I don't think that's what beat them against the 49ers. I thought the run defense was pretty stout in that football game. I thought the 2 Dak picks were critical. And then when Tony Pollard got hurt, they didn't have anybody but CeeDee Lamb.
Dak Prescott lost that game.
Sure.
I'm going to put 90% of the blame on him.
But he's going to be your quarterback. He's still going to be your quarterback this year. And
so give him more weapons.
Yes.
And so if Jordan Addison is there, take him.
You think so?
Sure. And the kid from USC by way of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If Zay Flowers, Boston College. If Quentin
Both
Johnston,
those guys are going to be there.
Quentin Johnston, TCU were to be there, take them. Or take the tight end, Dalton Kincaid, Matthew Mayer. Weaponize that quarterback. We'll come back. We'll pick up this Deion Sanders story. Is it the right thing to do to just tell guys who don't have any intention of transferring, you need to transfer? Get on and get out of here. You're cut. B&E on the Horn. Callahan's General Store, still there after all this time, 45 years, still family-owned and locally operated just by the best people you'll find, I promise you. You know, if you talk about the box store experience, right, they've got those big start with the high ceilings and all the fluorescent lights, and they've got Callahan's is got all that, right? They just don't have the lumber. They don't have the lumber yard, but they have everything else you're going to find at the box store. They also have the Western wear section if you need cowboy hats and cowboy boots and gear for the lease or just to wear. But they got the hardware sections, the houseware sections, the feed section, and certainly they've got you covered when it comes to your yard. If you need any essentials for your yard, your gardens, your trees, they have everything you need. They have a huge garden selection both in the main building and then in the back warehouse to get this thing going here in the month of April, the April showers that bring May flowers. And the experts there at Callahan's General Store will help you, right? That's the key. That's where the people separate it. It's you know what you want to do in your yard. You know what you're looking to do. Well, let them help you get there with the right products for your yard and the environment. Let them get you with exactly what you need, to how to do it, when to do it, and apply it properly. That's where Callahan separates themselves from anybody else. Right there at 501 Bastrop Highway. You can find them online at callahansgeneralstore.com, right there between downtown and the airport. Go see them. It's always a good day to make it a Callahan's Day.
It's Bucky and Erin.
What a weekend it is going to be. It starts tonight with the NFL Draft first round. We've got NHL and NBA playoff action. Only one NBA game tonight. Had 4 yesterday. Also, as we found out yesterday, Buck, this weekend you've got something for everybody. You got Eeyore's birthday is this weekend, the Blues Fest at an auditorium. What do they call that? No, the Moody Amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
The Blues Fest. I think you and Zay would take in the Blues Fest. That'd be
Absolutely.
fun. Also this weekend out in your neck of the woods in Pound Town, Dripping Springs, you got Founders Day weekend.
Founders Day weekend. Good luck with your parking.
Unbelievable barbecue cook-off. If you would to stroll the streets, if you can get a parking spot, then stroll the streets of downtown Dripping, you're going to eat some unbelievable barbecue. I think they have like 200 teams out there competing. It's a lot of fun. I think that's the number. It's just all up and down the main area there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Buta's got the Wiener Dog races this weekend. We found out that Georgetown is doing, what did they call it? Poppy Fest this weekend.
Poppies.
Yeah. All kinds of good stuff.
The Gathering of Kyles and Kyle.
The Gathering of
Kyles and Kyle, yeah.
Which is the one I least likely to even
attend.
I'm not named Kyle, so that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, they're trying to set a world record or something.
Turn heads by just yelling out Kyle.
Talking a lot of Cowboys. What they're going to do at 26, I just say offensive weapon. And I do consider an offensive lineman an offensive weapon. I think if that helps you run the football better, be more sturdy up front, protect Dak Prescott, I'm all for it. I just think the offense and the lack of firepower come playoff time has been their problem. And if you're going to get over that hump, you got to be able to score more points in crunch situations. And is that all on Dak? Probably, right? Because the Cowboys have had the ball in each of the last 2 playoff games and losses to the Niners. They've had the ball late with a chance to go win the game. And they haven't won the game.
Like Patrick Mahomes does?
Like Patrick Mahomes does. Like great quarterbacks do. But now, look, again, say what you want about Dak, but he is your quarterback. They've doubled down on that. They've extended his contract this offseason. He's going to be there. So if that's the case, and you're putting yourself in that position to win those games, then
more help is better than less help.
Give him more people and more opportunity to go down the field and score. And last year you hurt the cause by trading Amari Cooper and not replacing him. So don't make that mistake again.
They need an offensive lineman in a bad way, though.
The starting 5 looks pretty good, but yes, they need, and they
got too many guys go down.
I think they could upgrade the guard position if they're, maybe have a guy come in and beat the guy out.
I think this Tyron Smith's last year. Hell, I thought after all that stuff that he came back from, that would be it. But he just doesn't go away.
Yeah. Hey, listen, the Deion Sanders story had a lot of great traction in the first hour, and a lot of opinions on this because this story we started on Monday with there's 20 guys in the portal already since the game, and we debated what's going on there? Are they not happy with Deion? Now the truth has come forward, which we knew it would. Most, if not all, of the 20 to 23 players who entered the portal after the spring game were told to enter the portal. They didn't have a choice, essentially. They were cut from the football program. And the Athletic.com, David Ubben at Athletic has a good story talking to a bunch of these guys. And he told the story of the offensive lineman, 6'8", 320-pounder, whose father played on the Colorado National Championship team back in 1990. So he's a legacy. He said he told the story to the Athletic that he was having lunch middle of the afternoon. He knew he had a meeting the next day with Deion at 3 o'clock. It was his exit meeting. He figures, all good. Let's work on what we have to work on this summer, and here we go. Meeting was moved up. His offensive line coach, Bill O'Boyle, called him, said, hey, coach wants to see you in 30 minutes. On the way into the facility, his offensive line coach greeted the offensive lineman at the door and said, look, here's the quote. Said, hey, buddy, you're going to get cut today. I'm sorry to tell you this. I didn't want you to hear it from Coach Prime. I wanted you to hear it from my mouth. I didn't want to cut you, but we had to cut 5 offensive linemen, and you were the last one. He obviously was rightfully shocked, had no idea, had no intention of leaving the school he chose, thought he had an opportunity, was excited that Prime was coming to upgrade the team, and now he's on his way out. So obviously that is a new way of doing things if you're Deion Sanders. And it's he promised to do it, right? When he took the job.
Said the team will be different when they play in the state of Texas.
Yeah, he said that
if you have a team.
Well, when he was introduced to the team, he told him, go on and get in that portal. But even at that introductory, conference or introductory meeting, he was basically, if you're not going to do it the way we want to do it, then get on out. Well, subsequently to that player, a bunch of other guys talked to the Athletic and David Ubben and said that we were treated, the returning players were treated a lot differently than any of the newcomers that came in for the spring, including the 8 players from Jackson State. Every one of them told the same story, that they don't feel like they were given a real opportunity. They were criticized a lot more, and essentially we're told, we don't want you. We don't want you here, which, again, I understand it's within the rules for the most part. I think Deion has his way, but you can't.
Yeah, the purging of your team is, there's different,
You can't treat kids like luggage.
No, I don't think so. I think there's more to it. When you already have predetermined thoughts about somebody and a player, how hard are you going to work to make that guy better? Seriously.
I think if another coach referred to players as luggage or furniture that we need to replace. Well, there's a human element to this, y'all. Sometimes when you take a job, there are going to be guys that are there that are on scholarship who chose this school, who you can't just run them all off. People say, well, he's treating it like the NFL. You can't do that in the NFL. When you get hired for you don't think D'Amico Ryans in Houston like to run a lot of those guys off? They're under contract.
He's watched film.
They're under contract. And you have salary cap implications. So you can't just cut your whole team, because it's also hard to acquire. But Deion Sanders is going to take advantage of this current time in college football where the portal is free and accessible to everybody. Everybody can jump in it. There's no limitations. So this is unprecedented. Again, you think about it, this young guy's dad played at Colorado, won a national championship. He wanted to be a part of that program, and now he's been told he can't. He was given a scholarship. He was there, and I know they went 1-11, but there's a middle ground here to where, wait a second, I get you want your new players, and you can do that, but you also, the portal is for kids who want to change the scenery. They want a different opportunity. They want to, they don't like it here. Well, the ones that do like it, who were good enough to get a scholarship in the first place.
Yeah, you keep coaching them up.
Yeah. And if it takes a couple of years to get all the players that you want, then okay. That's just the way it goes. But it's still a human element thing. And don't give me the NIL stuff that they're already professionals. None of these players are employees.
Or you'll get that, or you'll get the hardcore, hey, these kids have to face reality. This is the way the world works.
They're not all getting NIL money. None of them are an employee of the university. So don't say if you don't do your job, you'd get fired too. They're not employees. They're student athletes. And some of them, the idea that they can now cash in on their name, image, and likeness is a good thing, but it doesn't mean they're employees of that university. They're scholarship athletes being told to get gone. I'm not a fan.
No, they already had a predetermined thought about the 1-11 group. How hard did those guys really coach those guys during the course of the spring? I guarantee it wasn't very hard. I've been around football, so I'm not there, no, but I guarantee you the efforts of some of those coaches, wasn't very good. When this guy's going to be gone, not coaching them to get better. And someone would get back to me, of course, and say, hey, Buck, remember when you told those guys about Ricky? But guess what? I never stopped coaching them hard. And I said, you just have to get better. But guess what? You're not going anywhere. I'm going to coach you just as hard as I coach anybody else.
Somebody said Sark essentially did the same thing, just not to this extent. That's not true. Steve Sarkisian said, look, when asked about the returning players, he said, I didn't recruit these players, but these are my players. I'm the coach of the University of Texas.
Right.
And did a lot of them eventually leave after the first year and they went 5-7? Yes, but they all had their opportunity. They all, got to have not all, but some left immediately. And
to get better. And some had the ability to get better, and some of those guys are still here.
Several, a lot of them are still here. And a lot of them moved on after the 5-7 season for sure, rightfully. And Sark said, we need guys who are buying in 100% to what we're doing. But again, there is a way to do it. But remember, Colorado started last year with 84 scholarship players. 64 are gone. 64. That's a purge. And when you're telling guys who have no intention of transferring that they have to transfer, that's different. There used to be a repercussion for that. When you were coaching, Buck, if you rescinded a kid's scholarship, you got a bad rap on the recruiting trail.
Or you get back out there in the high schools.
Yes.
Oh, this is going to cost him in that way. This is going to cost him in certain ways, but he thinks this is the way to do it. Yeah. I just disagree with the way he's doing it. I said it when this stuff first came out. I said, this is threatening. This isn't challenging. I'm not being challenged here.
Well, think about the words of the offensive line coach that, secondhand, it was being quoted by the player, saying, hey, buddy, I didn't want to cut you, but we had to cut 5, so you had to go. Because that means they're looking for 5 new offensive linemen, and they may already have some contact with 5. So I didn't want to cut you. I'm the offensive line coach. And he also went on to tell him, I think you're 6'8", you're 320, you're going to find a good spot. We'll help you get there. But I was told,
coach me here, help me to get better here.
Well, and that's what I was told. We have to cut 5, and you were the last one.
That's not a good direction.
That is not a big fan of that. But, Deion's going to do it Deion's way. Coach Prime is in at Colorado. We'll take your thoughts on it. Load up the Blitz, 447-3776. Just got confirmation, but coming up in our 9 o'clock hour, going to talk to
Coach
Mac Brown.
Nice.
Mac Brown, who's in town. They're teeing off this morning in the golf tournament for the Mac, Jack, and McConaughey. Mac is going to lob us a phone call when he can. He's got a couple of obligations right at 9 o'clock, but sometime between 9 and 9:30, we'll talk to the former head coach at the University of Texas, current head coach at North Carolina, get his thoughts on the current climate of college athletics. It's B&E on the Horn. No games, just your gossip. It's brought to you by the icy cold Frosty Bud Lights. As we just told you, there's so many options this weekend. NFL Draft tonight at all of our Pluckers locations will be hopping and fun. Come on out, get yourself some ice cold Bud Light and enjoy the draft tonight. It is draft day.
Will you have a chance to watch part of draft day one more time?
The movie?
Yeah, just a little.
No doubt. No doubt. I don't know. I've got a pretty busy day, but I would. I was watching some clips yesterday of the classic 2014 film starring Kevin Costner. It's got such a great cast, man. Such a cheesy, campy.
Who's better in Waterworld?
No. I haven't seen Waterworld, actually, by the way.
That's right. That's one you haven't seen.
Never saw it. No. He is Sonny Weaver, Jr., the general manager. I love me some Sonny Weaver. You got Chadwick Boseman in this film.
Yeah.
Wrecking Havoc. No one came to his birthday party.
Wow.
No one came to his birthday party. Dennis Leary. Sam Elliott's in this film. Frank Langella, legend.
Frank Langella.
Jennifer Garner looking hot. Come on now. Give me a break. And, of course, Chadwick Boseman is the Ohio State linebacker Vontae Mack. Won't spoil it for you. Of course, Bo Callahan is the Wisconsin quarterback who's supposed to go number one.
Nobody went to his birthday? Is that the one? Nobody went?
And they pulled the trick on him. Remember they put the $100 bill in the back of the playbook, and he never read his whole playbook, and he lied about it? Oh, yeah. They outed him for being a phony.
Wow.
That's how you got to do your draft research, Buck. Somebody said I need to see Waterworld. Do I?
Yes.
Really? I heard it was terrible.
So you got to see it. You got to make your own decision on that.
Isn't he riding
movie.
around on a jet ski or something? Didn't he?
That was great. He was like a fish, man. He had gills and everything. He could swim. Big old, he had.
John Dutton had gills.
Come on, John Dutton. That's right.
Crash Davis.
Absolutely.
Sonny Weaver. No. I don't know.
He's a great swimmer.
Okay. All right. So we told you earlier, the Bears are repeating on a Buck Off Thursday. A town in New Jersey has made a new rule for their Little League Baseball. If you berate an umpire at any point, you will be forced to suit up and call the game yourself.
I like that a lot.
Because they're running out of youth umpires because the parents are ridiculous. It says, if you're caught berating an umpire during a game, you'll be banned from the complex unless you agree to suit up as an umpire yourself and call 3 games.
How many? At 3?
3 games.
Dang.
The idea is pretty simple. If you're such a know-it-all, grab some gear, step behind the plate, and prove how great you really are. See?
Start throwing the little leaguers out of the game. You're out of here.
Well, that's pretty good. You can't come to your kid's game. You're banned. You can work your way back in. And obviously this is supposed to be a deterrent, but they're also trying to find new umpires. Because maybe some guy gets behind there and actually is really good at it.
And really likes it and enjoys that job.
Yeah. Hey, Ty, you're the eater in the family. Would you eat Kit Kat cereal? Kit Kat cereal.
I'm not a big fan of cereal, but that sounds good.
General Mills is rolling out Kit Kat cereal to stores nationwide.
Okay.
How about this guy? I don't think this is going to go very far, but a man is suing a psychic. 3rd time he sued her because she claimed to have a PhD and would help him remove a curse that his ex-girlfriend put on him, but she hasn't removed it, so he's suing her for fraud.
Good luck with that because those curses never go away.
Ty, Buck, have you ever had an ex-girlfriend put a curse on you?
Oh, man. Only Jesus can make that thing go away.
It's felt like that before. For sure.
It's felt like that. Yeah, Mauro Restrepo has just filed a 3rd lawsuit.
He's going to win that.
She says the psychic defrauded him out of $1,000 and has caused emotional distress. Maybe the ex-girlfriend causing the stress. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you need to go ahead and go to church on that. That psychic's not going to be able to help you. That curse is sticking for a while, forever.
Oh, man. All right. Can I get you a quick Florida man story? By the way, Ty, no girls ever put a curse on you. Is that true?
I don't know. Like I said, it's felt that way in the past.
They ever put a spell on you?
Yes.
There it is. Here's my Florida man story of the day. Florida man was pulled over last week driving with a revoked license. Cops saw a bag of powder in his car. Bag of powder. White powder. According to the officer, the guy said it was chili powder that his family sent from Guatemala. It was heroin. It's heroin. I like to try, though.
Good try.
Chili powder from Guatemala.
Don't they have a test kit? Like
drug dealer? You no good drug dealer.
Let's go to the Blitz.
The Bucky and E Blitz.
All right, here we go. First blitzer, talk to us.
Hey, E.
Yeah.
You said as a kid you used to hang out at the Houston Library. What's wrong? Was the Fifth Ward not within walking distance?
I wasn't allowed to go to the Fifth Ward, but I could walk to the library.
There you go.
Downtown Houston.
Next blitzer, you're up.
Yeah, buck off on Saban. He didn't toe the rubber when he threw out the first pitch. Man's 70 years old. At least old man Bush could do it at 80.
Ooh.
Good Lord.
Didn't tell he was in front of the rubber, was he, when he threw that
Sometimes
pitch?
you do that. Remember, if you ever thrown out a first pitch at a ball game, the mound is slick. Like they just watered it down. It's very smooth. They haven't started pitching on it yet. You can slip and slide on that thing.
Gotta go to my fall camp. Next blitzer, you're up.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, earlier Ty was in the dumps because he was saying his Mavericks weren't in the playoffs. But I heard Lumpy Luca had made it to the semifinals of the Nathan Eat Your All the Hot Dogs You Want contest.
Next blitzer, you're up.
No, officer. I'm just on my way to line the Little League field.
That would have worked.
Thank you.
Come on now.
Yeah, it's a little chalk.
Gotta bring that machine with you in the back there.
But if it really is hair on the cop, should make him go do it. Okay, well, line the field. Let's go.
Let's go. We'll
Let's
watch.
go. We'll watch.
Put that stuff down. Man, oh man. Next blitzer, you're up.
Man, I remember when Weed Man had an entirely different meaning.
Yeah. Next blitzer, you're up.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just want to say thank you for everything you do, and I hope y'all have a great Thursday. Take
Close
care.
it out. See,
Thank
that's
you.
what's so good.
We've asked for love on this show. We got a little love there. Appreciate that. You also have a good day. Have a nice Thursday.
And you can stop sending us Lizzo's birthday pictures, okay?
Yeah, please.
You can send us Willie Nelson pictures because he
And the
turns
size
90.
of the cake that she's going to eat.
My
It's
man
not
Willie.
the size of Mars. The cake is not Mars.
And she's not being drafted by the Raiders tonight.
Stop
You guys
that.
are terrible. Willie Nelson turns 90 on Saturday, Buck. So send your wishes.
Absolutely.
We're going to be able to visit with Mac Brown coming up. Mac Brown is in town. He's got Jack Ingram and Matthew McConaughey, and they're opening up festivities of their big event this weekend. We'll check in with Mac. Also, Brad Kellner, former colleague of ours, now working in Houston. He's in Kansas City for the draft. We'll get a visit with him on site. Coming next on B&E. All right, getting some clarity on the weekend. Our buddy Dale Freitag over with the Snake Farm crew, Buck, says the Pound Town Founders Day weekend, 186 cookers.
Whoa.
186 barbecue teams, smoking teams. Margaritas on Friday. Meats turn in on Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. Chili is Sunday.
Chili is Sunday, huh? Okay.
Eat it up. Also, over the weekend, they're going to celebrate Willie Nelson's 90th birthday. And you know where they're doing it? We told you this when they first announced it. Hollywood Bowl in L.A., California, the Hollywood Bowl, the world famous. And how about this lineup to celebrate Willie's 90th? George Strait, Chris Christopherson, Dave Matthews, Dwight Yoakam, Gary Clark Jr., Jack Johnson, Steven Stills, Miranda Lambert, Beck, Chris Stapleton, The Chicks, Sheryl Crow, Neil Young, Tom Jones, Tyler Childers, Snoop Dogg, Sturgill Simpson, Margot Price, Nora Jones, Allison Russell, Leon Bridges, Lyle Lovett, Avett Brothers, Roseanne Cash, Orville Peck.
What is that, like an 8-hour tribute?
Boy, that green room will be all smoked out.
That is unbelievable lineup.
You have to walk through that green room. Wow.
One name I don't see on there is Garth Brooks, because Garth Brooks is going to be here tonight to play a part of the Mac, Jack, and McConaughey event. What a get for Mac and Matthew and Jack for Garth Brooks. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, I've seen a lot of shows at ACL Live at the Moody Theater. I can't imagine seeing that guy in that arena. That is a intimate, seats about 2,000, 2,500 people. It's going to be one heck of a night for them. So we'll talk to Mac about that. So, and somebody said, y'all should come down, Bucky. Pound Town Porkers. We're Team 114.
Pound Town Porkers. I need to get through there.
You live right by there. You should be going there.
Live right by there.
You live within like
I got
3
a
miles.
Gas station I could park at and walk down the road about a half mile.
It's a good bit of walking. But, man, they take over the whole downtown of Dripping Springs. It's fun. That's a great event.
They have a nice park that a lot of events will take place in, too.
Well, they do. They have rides. Like at the end of the park, or the end of the main drag, there's the park, and they set up like rides and
sweet,
like the carnival. They'll have like your kids
like the carnival right here, the Ben White Carnival.
Yeah.
Still never been to that one,
dude. Please don't go.
I talk about it every time.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say.
You mean the Ben White Carnival that's behind St. Edwards there?
But my kids always wanted me to take them. I'm like, dude, I am not going in that place. I'm not going there to have something dislocate.
Why not?
No. I'm not eating anything in that carnival. That thing is there 17 times a year.
And it's packed every time.
Last call, I haven't seen anybody in there. I don't think anybody goes to it.
They do another one. I live down south, and that same, I don't know if it's the
same
carnival.
group?
I got to think it is. They set up in Buda, like across from Cabela's, behind the pinballs there. And they set up a big carnival for about 3 weeks at a time or whatever.
Dude, I had some really...
And it's always packed.
You know, I had a job of help breaking one of those things down one time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They're like missing screws and bolts and stuff.
No.
That's what I always think when I get on those things. Like,
God,
actually, I don't get on them.
Those carnies were unfreaking believable. That goes down there as one of the list of one of the worst jobs I ever had, with the exception of doing.
You were a carny?
I was a carny. Yeah, I was a carny for a night, and the job I had in South Boston, of when I had to go there. When you have weddings and stuff, the big round tables and all that stuff, from the places that you have the reception. And you get all the furniture and stuff for an outdoor event. I had to go to South Boston and break that stuff down and put it in the truck and had to drive out of Southie at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. That was horrifying.
That was horrifying. You know that this guy says that carnival is 100% a drug front.
Come on.
Probably could be. I think it's like the larger version of the ice cream man, the ice cream truck back in the day. Was you really just selling blow pops?
I'm kind of thinking that's where that...
Or factory mattress. Have you heard that before? If you look on your phone and you look up factory mattress, there's like 50 locations.
I think that's where the DLHG worked for a while.
Who?
Remember the dirty little homeless girl? Remember I had the run-in at McDonald's with her, and she was pissed at me because I wouldn't give her a hug? You know, I went back. And
she felt bad?
I felt bad, so I went back the next day, and she was out in front of the McDonald's. Now, I'm not going to sensitivity training school on this. She looked at me, she goes, "Oh, yeah, you're the guy who wouldn't give me a hug." I said, "No, I'm the guy who wanted to buy you lunch, and you wanted a hug." And I said, "And I wasn't going to hug you. I just said, no, I'm not doing that, you filthy little thing." I'm like, "I'm not going to hug you, but I will buy you lunch." She goes, why do you think I need to have lunch? Why do you think I need you to buy me lunch?"
Because you're sitting out in front of the McDonald's stinky.
I was just, I don't know why I got into this argument with this young woman, but I just said no. I was not. Hey, by the way,
it's kind of a walk away time. Just
no,
away.
It wasn't that all that bad. It was a very good conversation.
Well, you went back, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
You went back to reconfront.
No, I went back to see if she would accept lunch from me the second time around, and she goes, "You're the one who wouldn't give me a hug." I'm like, "Yes, I'm also the one who wanted to buy you lunch," and I thought that was a nice gesture. So am I going to get a hug today? Like, no.
You sound like the TikToker. There's a TikTok video that went viral where this lady was trying to pay it forward and buy people their groceries at the grocery store, and they wouldn't let her. They're like, "No, we're good." She did like you did, and they started crying. She started crying, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" "No, we're good. We don't need you to pay for our groceries." Well, she's got, of course, the video up. She's the camera out because she's trying to, make
content,
make a video, make content where she's paying for people's groceries, and the people are like, "No, we're good."
I will revisit that McDonald's and see what's up.
It says Factory Mattress, the New Age Mafia front. We can't say that on the radio.
Come on, man.
No, it's just, everybody has a mattress. You got to buy a mattress.
Yeah, but do you go to when have you ever? I've never gone to a mattress store to buy my mattress.
Well, where do you get it? By the dumpster or something? Where do you get it? At a dumpster?
Just order it. Yeah, and I did mine.
Don't even say it, Ty. Don't say that. Don't you dare say I found one by the dumpster. No. And that you kept it.
A guy I used to do business with, you could say, he gave me a king mattress, and about 4 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. I got a brand new mattress to offer.
All right. I have gone to the mattress store and bought a mattress a couple of times.
There you go.
When you have kids and you have a house and you have to put mattresses in a bunch of rooms, you don't just go to your buddy.
Or by the dumpster.
This isn't college, Ty, where we'd go to the Goodwill to get a bunch of furniture. All right, let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. We mentioned he's in town. A pretty big event they've got going this weekend with Garth Brooks tonight at the Moody Theater. They have golf tournaments all weekend, all to raise money for a great cause. He is former Longhorn head coach and current North Carolina head football coach, Mack Brown. Mack, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Erin. How are you?
We're doing great. Now, you just sent the golfers out this morning, right? How'd that go?
We did. I just set them off. We've got about 11 of our guys that played on the national championship team here, and it just reminds me it's what made me a good coach for a while.
I bet you Quan's hanging around there somewhere today, Coach.
Quan is in that group.
There you go.
Of course, Quan caught the touchdown pass against Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. And, Bucky, you know how this is. It brings back so many great memories of the recruiting and when you were sitting in their homes and how they played and the games they won and the wonderful people and families that they've grown to have. And it's just it's so fun to see them as adults and men, and just hope you had a little piece of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the coolest part. Obviously, you had a lot of success with those players, and they helped the Longhorn program to the highest heights. But to know them now as adults and husbands and fathers, I mean, that's really the good stuff.
Well, it's really good, and to talk to them about their businesses, their children. I'm talking to Casey Studdard about his children, and I'm thinking, Casey, do I need to go back and tell them how you work? And he said, we're good. We're good.
No, he don't want you talking to him.
No. Yeah, no, without question. Just talking to Lamar Houston about the new business he's got going. So Quan actually came to a game last year in Chapel Hill with friends. And so it's just wonderful that one of the great things with modern day social media, you can stay in touch so much easier with everybody. And that keeps you updated.
Coach, how is the love for Chapel Hill still? I mean, not just the game of football itself and loving coaching, but that area of the country.
Well, it's great because we have history there too, Bucky. It's funny. Our two places are Chapel Hill and Austin, and we still have a son, a daughter-in-law, and two grandkids here. And Sally comes back to Austin about once a month. And this full-time job stuff, as you two know, limits my time where I can go anywhere. So I only get to come back once a year, but I love Austin. I love the people. The MJ&M is in its 11th year, and it's just it's unbelievable. It started as a dream, and now it's a reality, and it's helping empower so many kids that are sick or underprivileged, and it's just nobody gives back better than people from the state of Texas, and specifically Austin. And this event's just gotten huge, and every time you come back, you just appreciate the people here, and that I think that's the most important thing.
No question about it. I want to ask you about who gets credit for getting Garth Brooks here tonight, which is pretty awesome. But let me ask you about your spring at North Carolina. You got quite a young quarterback and wrapped up the spring like most programs have here in the month of April. How'd things go for you?
Aaron, it's really going better. You know, we took over a program that won 5 games in 2 years. They'd only won 2 the year before we got there, and I remember one of the seniors asked me the first team meeting, how do you win? I thought, oh, my God, I don't have time to go over that today. So we were in trouble. And so we've been to 4 bowl games. We won our division last year. We didn't finish well. We won 9. Our motto this spring's been good to great. At North Carolina, 9's good, but it's not great. And we need to be great if that's what we came back to do. And so we got a great quarterback. He's one of the best in the country, and it's only his 2nd year, but he redshirted, so it's 3rd year in the program. So I'm sure he'll be a high draft choice after this year. And we've got a tough schedule, but we've got an older team, so it's time for us to take another step and not get that little trophy for the Coastal Division Championship, but win the ACC Championship and hopefully then lead to something else.
Mac, you've seen a lot of great running backs. You got a chance to see Bijan Robinson at the University of Texas, and being around Ricky and watching Bijan. What do you think of this young man? I mean, not just his ability to play the game, but what kind of kid he is.
Bucky, I haven't met him, but just watching him and being a Texas fan and following him, and I watch Texas play every chance that I can. And he's just he's another great Texas player with class, and he's smart. He handles himself so well, and I'm just so impressed with the young guy. I saw Coach Sarkisian a couple of days ago, and he was talking about the draft, and it's so crazy now where running backs may get drafted. But obviously he's one of the best in the country, if not the best, and we just wish all those kids good luck this weekend. They've got a chance to fulfill their dreams, and they've been playing a long time to get to this point. And as you know, Bucky, the draft's always scary because they're hearing a lot of different things, and they don't know where they're going to be drafted. And I've told them just be drafted and then go to the team and make the team, and don't worry about it. You can't control this weekend. You got to worry about what you can control, and that's how you play after they sign you.
No question. Mac Brown is with us out at UT Club today, right? Is that where we're playing today, or have I got that wrong?
No, we're at UT Club today and out at Barton Creek tomorrow.
That's right.
And we got a lot of great golfers. I don't think, from what I could tell on the practice range, that those guys that won championships at Texas are going to be great golfers. That's okay.
No, but they're going to have a good time today, and then a really good time tonight. Hey, Mac, real quick, we had a good debate this morning about what's going on in Colorado and the Deion Sanders situation. You've seen so many changes of your time in college football, what it was when you started, where it is now. He's taken over a tough team that was down, and, boy, just turning the roster over. What's your thought on where college football is and where it's headed?
Bucky, I think that, Erin, I think that when you start talking about NIL, Sally said it the best, and Bucky's lived this world. She said if artists in college can make money for their art, and if musicians can make money for their music, why shouldn't athletes be able to make money for their play, their name? And we say it's not for play. Well, that's not true. People are paying them because they're playing good. They're not paying them because of who they are, period. So then the second part of that is, why did we just throw it out there without any guidelines?
Yeah.
I mean, we have none. And we have fewer guidelines in the NFL, but we've said for years, alums don't pay players. And now we're asking alums to pay players.
Yeah.
And then we're saying for years, keep the agents out of it. Well, now they can all get an agent. So we changed everything, and we changed it so quickly that there are a lot of consequences that are happening now, and the consequences weren't thought through very well. So I like the fact that kids can make money. I think we're probably heading toward, at some point, the kids will be working for the university. I think we'll see a time where there's salary caps. So we're the mini NFL. That's just what it is. There's no more amateurism. And then the other thing that they just didn't think through is that the fact that NIL and transfer portal it's a head-on collision
Mm-hmm.
because now you got tampering, you got people buying players through their agents off other people's campuses. You've got kids that are transferring 3 and 4 times. We had 2 young guys that transferred, one to Virginia and one to Penn State after they graduated, after the season. Last week they quit after 3 months and transferred to Louisville. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Mac.
With what we're seeing happening.
And Mac, but the one of the most important things, if not the most important things, the relationships will matter, with kids and, still wanting to go to school where maybe their dad went, where their uncle went. Those things really, really matter. And, kids, I still believe that, as I said, if your parents had to pay for you to go to school, would you come to this school? Is this the place for you, no matter what university it is? And I think that's important for people to realize. There are a number of those players that would say, yes, this is the place I'd want to come. If my mom and dad had to pay for my education, yes, for sure. Carolina, Texas, Notre Dame, this is where I would go to school. And I still think that's an important part of it, and relationships really do matter.
Bucky, that's absolutely the fact of the matter. We've had to change who we recruit. We've got to recruit somebody who wants to come to North Carolina for school. We've got to sell them that their NIL money is going to be on the back end when they graduate. Don't take $100,000 up front and think that's money, because that's going to be gone. And then also, if you take a guy that really doesn't want to buy in and be at your school, somebody's going to buy him off campus if he's any good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what you've got. Drake May, our quarterback, there are a lot of people trying to get him to leave. He got offered huge sums of money through agents, and he stayed because that's his legacy. His dad played there. His dad was a graduate assistant for me. His brother played basketball there. Another brother is playing basketball there now. He's from Charlotte. If that hadn't been the case, we would have lost one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So absolutely, you have to look differently at who you recruit than ever before.
Mac Brown, candid as always, and Drake May, special player coming in this year for North Carolina. Coach, last thing, I mean, the events this weekend, who gets credit for Garth Brooks? I mean, I know you had Stapleton recently, and you always have a huge headliner on Thursday night. It's all about raising money for kids and empowering kids, but who gets the credit for Garth?
I think it has to be Matthew. He and Matthew McConaughey did the Ellen Show. They co-hosted the Ellen Show a few years ago, and they've been dear friends, so we've been trying to get Garth over the last 3 years, and we're so excited. You have Kenny Chesney last year, and you get Garth this year. I think it goes back to Erin, to the how great these entertainers are, that they can be anywhere in the world they want to be. They're paying their own way to come and help empower these kids and help raise money for this charity. And since we've been able to attract such talent, and Jack Ingram, I'm not the guy. Jack Ingram and Matthew are in the entertainment business. They know all these guys. And the word spreads that it's fun and Austin's fun, and they're raising so much money for these kids. They want to be part of it. And Garth's so gracious. He was even talking about, you are not paying for my room. Give every bit of money that is raised this weekend to those kids. And most of the entertainers, they fly themselves in. They pay their own way. And many of them have even donated money when they've come in. So it just, as I said earlier, in a world where we've got a lot of trouble, whether it's race, whether it's politics, whether it's guns, kids being shot, whether it's COVID, it's events like this that really pick you up and make you feel great about society, because there's a lot of wonderful things happening for kids this weekend that aren't happening across the world.
Mac, thanks so much for some time. I know you're busy. You got a lot to do out there and this weekend, and it's great to hear you and appreciate the conversation. Best of luck this weekend.
Max, do say hello to Sally for me, please.
I sure will. She's here and excited about the weekend. They have a wonderful fashion show, Bucky, I will tell her that. And I was laughing at how bad our ex-players were swinging. Well, I didn't even get to the range, but if after we lost the last 4 games, I damn sure better not hit it good today. And I think I'm okay.
All right.
There won't be anybody. Nobody's going to accuse me of playing too much golf.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Mac Brown, really good conversation. And yeah, that's great to know. I in your head you think, well, how much are they paying Garth to get Garth to come? The fact that he's coming on his own and going to pay his own way and wants to be
want to be a part of
it.
helping, yeah.
And again, when this all came together, gosh, the story's been told many times, but way back in the day, Willie Nelson and Darryl Royal used to do the Willie and Darryl, right? They would do a concert, and this is really when Darryl was getting into Texas country music, and Willie Nelson, who turns 90 tomorrow. And what we've been told over and over is that there was a late night phone call from Jack Ingram, who grew up going with his parents to the Willie and Darryl, called Mac Brown like he was doing some songwriting at 2 a.m. and called Mac and said, hey, what if we bring back the Willie and Darryl and raise a lot of money for kids? And gosh, this thing has grown to be a behemoth. But they all brought their own charities, right? Like Mac had Cure Duchesne and the Rise School, and
that's
then,
right.
Matthews goes to the Just Keep Living Foundation and Adele Children's Ascension, the Heart Gift. I mean, so they're all their charities are represented, but man, they raise so much money for these great causes, and
they're all involved in the Adele Children's, all of them.
All of them, yes. And I'll say, Garth Brooks will be incredible tonight, but I know that on Friday night, Jack Ingram always puts together the songwriter series. He brings the best songwriters you've ever seen. They write all the hits in Nashville. A lot of times they're not the ones singing the hit, right? They wrote the hit for the star. And Jack on Friday night always brings, but they had Little Big Town. They've had big names come in. But in and around that, they spend about 3 or 4 hours just singing these songs that they've written. And it is such a cool night of music. If you can ever be at the Friday night, if you can't get to the Garth thing, try to get in for Friday night when Jack does the songwriter series, because that's really what the Willie and Darryl was about, was songwriting and picking late into the night and singing and telling stories, and really, really good stuff. So Mac, Jack, and McConaughey, they got the golf tournament today, the gala, the fashion show, all proceeds going towards the beneficiaries. MJNM2023.com is the website. All right, coming back, we're going to go to Kansas City, Buck. Before we wrap up today, we're going to talk to Brad Kellner in Kansas City. He's there for the draft. Find out what the Texans are going to do at 2 or what they should do. That's coming next.
It's Bucky and Erin.
So Mac Brown gave us a phone call. That was good stuff. And, you know, when Mac called, we were supposed to talk to Nate Boyer in that segment, too. Nate's got a big event this weekend, too. It's talk about everything going on. So we'll check in with Nate Boyer, the lifetime Longhorn, as well. Hopefully tomorrow, get the update on everything going on there because he's got an event in town this weekend. It seems like everybody's got an event in town this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
It's that weekend.
It's that weekend. It is that weekend with Mac, Jack, and McConaughey and everything else. But he's got a big Survive the Raft special coming up, which we're going to tell you about. And so Nate Boyer will be with us tomorrow, and we look forward to that visit. And thank you to Mac Brown. Pretty good stuff on the state of college football and college athletics. I mean, knowing Mac like we do for as long as we did, he's not a big fan of Deion Sanders' approach at Colorado, I have to think, because just cutting players who still want to be in your program, even though they went 1-11. Mac took over a 2-win team, and you don't just walk in and start cutting guys. But that's not the way it is. I guess Deion's going to take that approach. It's an interesting conversation for sure. Also, a lot of intrigue down in Houston. What are the Texans going to do with the draft? They are on the clock right after Carolina nabs Bryce Young. To get some more thoughts on and intel on that, let's go to the Vaqueros hotline again. He is Brad Kellner. He is in Kansas City. Flew up last night to be a part of the draft back in the great state of Missouri. What's up there, BK?
I got to follow up Mac Brown. What are
Come
you guys
on,
doing?
man.
Yeah, what a leadoff that is,
You
right?
got it. You got it.
Yeah, Mac was here. He's in town for MJ&M, Mac, Jack, and McConaughey this weekend. So they got Garth Brooks tonight down there, BK. Garth Brooks in town.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, man.
Love that. Yeah, no, Mac hit a leadoff triple, and I'm about to strike out with a runner on third and less than 2 outs. So it's I'm putting y'all in a tough spot here.
Well, first of all, what are you eating there? Are you indulging yet in some great meals?
We're about to, man. We didn't land until after midnight last night. Our flight got delayed like an hour and a half, which is always fun when you're on the latest flight of the evening.
They got 7-Elevens there, too. You can get a good meal at 7-Eleven late in the morning. You know that.
Of course.
Hey,
they've got Quick Trip. I mean, they've got everything you need.
Oh, the QTs. Love the
QTs, yeah.
Hey, BK, you just said it. Mac hit a leadoff triple, and you're going to strike out. Is that what the Texans are going to do tonight? Carolina's going to take the leadoff triple with Bryce Young, and then what are the Texans going to follow it up with?
The Texans fans have that same level of confidence that I have right now. I mean, nobody has any idea what the Texans are going to do. I'm not sure the Texans have any idea what the Texans are going to do, and we're less than 10 hours away from this thing starting. I mean, there's obviously a bunch of different options they could take. A lot of the buzz over the last couple of days has indicated that they're not going quarterback at 2. Feels like most teams in this situation where the Texans are right now would be taking C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, but a lot of the buzz is that it's going to be either Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson at 2. So no one knows for sure. Vegas doesn't know. You ask 100 different people, you might get 100 different answers. So it is a crapshoot trying to guess what's going to go down tonight, and I can't recall a time in recent memory where we've had a draft with this much mystery at the top. It feels like nobody knows what's happening after Carolina at 1.
What would you think, BK, for you would be the real safe pick? I mean, all this stuff about C.J. Stroud and his test score and all this stuff. I know what I see on film. I know it's another level, but I expect that he would work his ass off to be the best at what he could be, and I think he would still end up a pretty good quarterback. You know what I mean? But what is the safe bet? The safest bet right now? Will Anderson to you?
Well, if you're talking about if you're talking about the safest player there at 2, it's Will Anderson. I mean, his production in college was absolutely insane. Top 5 in sacks in the history of the NCAA. Guy should have won the Heisman Trophy 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a very, very good athlete. He's not like Von Miller, Myles Garrett level athlete, but he's still a phenomenal athlete. Combined with the productivity, combined with the fact that he stayed healthy, right? You look at Tyree Wilson, a lot of buzz around him right now, but he broke his foot towards the end of last season, and he's had some injury concerns in his past as well. And then with the quarterbacks, you never know. I mean, 50% of first-round quarterbacks turn out to be busts. So usually if you're taking an edge in the top 3, those guys pan out to really, really good players. So the safest pick is Will Anderson at 2.
I know your colleague there at the station, Lance Zierlein, has broken a lot of news on this in the last couple of weeks. He took a lot of hits when he mentioned Tyree Wilson maybe with the 2 pick and not a quarterback, and everybody was mad at Lance. And now as we get closer to the actual draft, he's seeming more and more prophetic to that. What about Tyree Wilson? What do they like about him? I love Will Anderson too, but we know that Tyree is big and the long arms. His best football may be ahead of him at 6'6" and almost 280 pounds.
Yeah, maybe more people should be giving Lance some credit. I mean, last year he was the first person to report the Texans' interest in Derek Stingley. He also had the Texans taking Kenyon Green with their second first-round pick in his final mock draft. So he's got sources around the league, and he was all over this last year. So him saying Tyree Wilson is a real possibility at 2 should definitely carry some weight. And you just said it right there, E. I mean, he's long. He's incredibly athletic. He's got good get-off right now. He's already a good run defender. He's got a little bit more polishing he needs when it comes to rushing the passer, but feels like the potential for this guy is absolutely through the roof. And we saw flashes of brilliance from him last season. He led college football in pressure percentage before he went down with that broken foot against Kansas late in the year. So there's already some really, really good talent with Tyree Wilson, but it feels like his ceiling is sky high, and I don't know if he's close to reaching that yet.
BK, will Atlanta let Bijan go and then the Eagles suck him up at number 10, or Atlanta make that move, you think, at 8?
Yeah, I might drown myself in barbecue sauce if Bijan ends up on the Eagles. That would absolutely kill me. I don't know, Buck. I really don't. We had Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network on a couple of days ago, and he's got Bijan as his third-ranked player in this entire class, but he's like, I don't know where to put him. And I feel like that's the consensus right now. I mean, 20 years ago, Chicago doesn't trade the number 1 pick. They take Bijan Robinson with the first pick.
Right.
You guys know this. That's how good and talented and just complete of a prospect that this guy is. But because of the devaluation of running backs in recent years, it's hard to predict. Atlanta would make some sense. I mean, in a sense, they don't make sense because they've spent a lot of premium draft picks on skill position players in recent years, and it hasn't always worked. It feels like they should try to beef up on the lines of scrimmage a little bit, but it's going to be tough, man. I don't think Bijan's going to fall outside the top 12. I really don't. He's too talented. Some team's going to fall in love with him, even though he's a running back, and Atlanta at 8 could be the team that decides to get it done.
So you say 12. Does that mean you think the Texans could gobble him up with that second pick, or what do you this is where the Texans are. I saw where Daniel Jeremiah has a mock draft where the Texans take Will Anderson, but then they turn around or take C.J. Stroud, and then they trade back up with all the capital they have with Arizona, with including that 12th pick, to take the quarterback or take Will Anderson, so they get both of the guys, or they could stay where they are, take Tyree Wilson or Will Anderson, and then is Bijan a possibility there if they're not going quarterback?
Boy, wouldn't that be something, right? If the Texans, who have just embraced tanking for the last few years, just decided to put an end to it. They're tired of losing. It's funny, like the Texans can really go in two polar opposite directions, right? If they don't take a quarterback tonight, they're basically saying that, we're cool being one of the worst teams in the league again next year. And then on the other end, they could do that, right? They could pick number 2 and number 3 where they're like, we're not messing around anymore. We plan on trying to be competitive right away. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Bijan would more likely be the pick at 12 if they do go quarterback at 2, but who knows? I mean, I know the Texans are very interested in Bijan. I don't think that's that hot of a take. I don't think that's great insider information. I think every team out there is interested in Bijan, but if he was on the board at 12, I know there'd be some serious conversations going on in the Texans draft room about pulling the trigger because they love this dude, and with good reason.
Well, how about your Cowboys at 26? I mean, it seems like with all the work they've done before the draft of acquiring veteran players and finally Jerry and Steven getting aggressive to fill some holes, that they are in a spot to take, if one of their first-round grades slides to them at 26 or, whatever the best player on the board is, the Cowboys are going to be in a position to take, I believe.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. The good news is it's usually not the Jones who make these decisions because they always bungle this stuff. But for all the Cowboys' faults in recent years, they've done a great job drafting for the most part. So they're going to have some options. A couple of guys I like, Kalijah Kancey out of Pitt, the defensive tackle. I doubt he makes it all the way to 26, but he provides something the Cowboys don't have, which is an interior D tackle who could get after the quarterback. That'd be a nice pick for them. But everyone keeps mocking tight ends. And Michael Mayer, the kid out of Notre Dame who they used to call Baby Gronk, I like his game a lot. I think he's kind of underrated this year. He's a complete tight end. He brings a lot to the table. And the Cowboys spent a 4th-round pick on Jake Ferguson last year. They obviously lost Dalton Schultz, but the question is, how much do they believe in Ferguson? If they don't think he's ready to be a number 1 tight end, then Mayer could be the pick. But, yeah, you're right, Heath. They've got a number of different options they could take, and it feels like there's at least 1 or 2 guys that they're going to like that's going to fall to them.
What's your feel now? I'm sure you haven't been to where the draft is there at the Union Station, but you went to Kansas. I'm sure you spent some time in Kansas City. How do you think this is going to play tonight with that crowd? Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and we were in Vegas a year ago. I saw you there. How do you think this plays tonight with Kansas City as the host?
No, it's going to be nuts. I mean, you said it. Like the fact that you've got the defending Super Bowl champs hosting this thing just adds another element to craziness that's going on. I haven't been down there yet, but based on what happened last year and just based on how crazy this draft has become in recent years, yeah, it's going to be a madhouse up at Union Station. So should be a lot of fun. Until the Texans screw things up. I mean, knowing the Texans, they're going to take C.J. Stroud at 2 and then Will Levis at 12. Knowing them.
Wow.
No, it's going to be a good time, and weather seems to be nice, and about to eat me some barbecue.
Nice.
So
There you
all
go.
Good up here in case of it.
Wouldn't it be a video if you have a drone going? Because Houston's having that big watch party down. If they don't get a quarterback in the first 12 picks, could you just see everybody walking out? I mean, it would be unbelievable just to have like this wave of people leaving. What a video that would be.
Yeah, a lot of birds being flipped to anybody who works for the Houston Texans, and a lot of phone calls to try to cancel season tickets being made if that's the case. And then, look, I guess maybe this is giving the Texans too much credit, but if they don't take a quarterback, then you got to wonder, okay, do they have a deal with San Francisco in place to get Trey Lance? Are they going to call New England about Mac Jones? The craziest thing could be they make an offer to Lamar Jackson and try to get in on his sweepstakes. But no, if they leave tonight without a quarterback, yeah, there are going to be some pissed off Texans fans all across.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We'll have fun. Enjoy it. Maybe we'll check in with you tomorrow. We'll get an eyewitness account of what goes on tonight. But it's good to hear your voice, my friend.
Stay safe, man.
Sounds good, guys. I will. I'll be at the Mullet Open next Friday. So
All right,
looking
buddy.
Forward to seeing y'all and everybody up there.
All right, buddy. Enjoy it, and then safe travels back. We'll talk maybe tomorrow or next week. All right, man? There's Brad Kellner.
All
Good
right,
stuff.
thanks, fellas.
There's Brad Kellner. Yeah, I mean, the whole place. I mean, there's just so much intrigue in the Texans. I mean, I know no one cares about the Texans' big picture, but for this draft, they and Bijan Robinson are the key players. We know what Carolina's doing. They were the aggressive team to go up and get the quarterback pick. They're taking Bryce, and then who knows after that where it
Like I
goes.
said, eventually you just have to take some chances. You can't keep doing that to your fans.
Right. And
and
that's where I'll give Houston and Nick Caserio and the new coach, D'Amico Ryans, enough that they have a plan. Right?
Yes.
They're not. This isn't the Bill O'Brien-led Texans, I don't believe.
No.
And look, if they're going to take Will Anderson, one thing I trust in is that D'Amico Ryans is getting the real scoop on that player from Nick Saban. I mean, D'Amico Ryans is one of the best players in Alabama history.
That's right.
If anybody is going to get the straight skinny from Nick Saban on that, right, it's D'Amico Ryans.
Or he's going to tell him about that guy, and he's going to tell him about the kid at Georgia. He's going to let him know.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's going to say, no, if that kid's head is straight, he's one of the best football players I've ever
What
seen.
about Jalen Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they go interior, probably exterior, but you're right. I mean, that's the cool thing about D'Amico, and that's why they're so disappointed they don't get to draft Bryce Young, because that was going to be a no-brainer. But we know D'Amico wasn't there that was his predecessor
Right.
who screwed that up, Lovie Smith. But yeah, I mean that intrigue is there because if they don't go quarterback, which it doesn't feel like they're going to, what do they do to address quarterback? Do they do it at 12? Do they trade back up? Do they have a deal in place for Trey Lance? Look, you can sit and talk to Bobby Slowick, who's the offensive coordinator in Houston. He was the passing game coordinator in San Francisco. If you've graded these quarterbacks, and Slowick says, look, Trey Lance is better than those guys. Trey Lance is better, and then he's already got 3 years in the league, 2.5 years in this league. That would be a better move because, again, the Texans have all this draft ammo. Just because they don't address it in the first 12 picks, they could still address it. They could give up pick 33 for Trey Lance, right? They could give one of their, multiple picks in the top 75 to go get Mac Jones they could address this thing tonight. They have to, because as we just said, the watch party might burn the place down. Kind of like if Philadelphia doesn't take Bijan at 10 if he's there.
If there's any Texans fans out there, I still don't know any besides you.
Watch tonight. You'll see it at their facility. It'll be packed.
You'll see 12 of them. Good dozen will be there.
Do you think in Houston there's more Cowboys fans or Texans fans?
Oh, Texans by a long shot. Dude, Texans, when they came back online, had waiting lists for season tickets. I mean, they were sold out every single week.
That was like 25 years ago, though.
They were only 20 years old as a franchise, dude. 20 years. But and they've had as much success, big picture, as your Cowboys in the last 20 years, too. And they have plenty of playoff
wins?
Similar. Almost identical.
It's
almost identical.
It's not a good franchise to be competing with.
Well, that's right.
That's
but
true.
Don't be wearing your Terrell Owens jersey, acting like the Cowboys.
All right. T.O.
Since the Texans have come online, their number of division titles, playoff wins, all those numbers are almost identical. If you look at the Cowboys and Texans.
Oh, will
yes,
this be fun tonight?
Cowboys have the history when they were America's team until Jerry Jones screwed it up.
I think you just
but
go
there are
ahead.
Texans fans.
Did you hate the Cowboys growing up, or did you dislike them?
I did. Actually, when I was living in Ohio, my favorite team were the Cowboys. I loved Tony Dorsett. My brother loved the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
We just liked to fight over it because they played in the Super Bowl all the time. And I was a Tony Dorsett fan. Moving to Houston, I fell in love with the Oilers and Love You Blue. And but I don't hate the Cowboys, but I do like the Texans. Yes, we'll be back. Be on the horn. Viking Fence is the premier fence company in Austin, Texas. You know, we have great debates about things, and that's what's fun about sports radio and talk radio is to debate big topics. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. BK has an opinion. So does TY and Buck. There is no debate when it comes to a new fence, residential or commercial or temporary rental for your home or business. It's just, there's no brainer. It's Viking Fence, 50 years. 50 years. No one else has invested in their own on-site lumber mill. No one else has their own on-site custom ironworks facility, their own pre-staining equipment. I mean, across the board, Viking Fence has invested in just the quality, the workmanship, the reliability. It's everything that you want, so it's a no-brainer. Don't confuse yourself and overthink the game here. When it's time for a new fence, a wood privacy fence for your home or business, iron fence, chain link, perimeter security, gate automation, repairs or supplies and installation, it's Viking Fence every single time. They've got 50 years of evidence to tell you, and they're still locally owned and operated since 1972. Make the simple phone call, 837-6411. That's 837-6411. Find them online at vikingfence.com, and don't overthink it. When you think a fence in Austin, Texas of any kind, think Viking. Buck-ons and buck-offs on this Thursday. Big buck on to Mac Brown jumping on with us. Their event this weekend, Mac, Jack, and McConaughey.
And big buck off to the spam people that just keep calling me. No, I don't want to be buried for free. I'm good.
Well, you're at that age now, huh?
I'm good.
Also, buck on to Brad Kellner. And tomorrow, as we mentioned, we'll talk to Nate Boyer, the lifetime Longhorn. He's going to be at the Garth Brooks show tonight with Mac, Jack, and McConaughey. So we'll be able to talk to Nate about how the Garth man brought it tonight. Also, buck on to Jimmy Butler. What a performance. 98 points in the last 2 games to close out the Bucks. Impressive, to say the least. He was unbelievable. They came back from 12 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Bucks in Game 4. They were down 16 opening the fourth quarter on the road in Milwaukee last night. They came all the way back and won that. They now play the New York Knickerbockers. And buck on to the Knicks. First time in 10 years they've won a playoff series, so congrats to them. And I'm going to buck on Giannis. I like his comments after the game. It's a clickbait world where you're looking for Giannis to say, no, I don't think this year's a failure and leave it at that. That would have been, I think, ripped apart. He explained himself well, and I thought I'm for what he had to say.
Well, I'm definitely for it, but he didn't have to answer it as deep as he did.
I think he did, because I think that's just the world we live in. I just know what the headlines would have been today. The fact that he explained it, and they're talking about that, and not him saying, no, I don't think because that's really what he was saying, is he doesn't consider this a failed season because they didn't win the championship.
I got that. Yeah, I mean, not every
But you know,
one team can only win. I mean, they won the championship. He's not like he's never won a championship before.